Hello and welcome to Geek vs. Sidequest, your weekly stop for video game news, reviews, and more here on the Geek vs. Podcast Network. I'm your host, Adam Mark Casterdilmas, and I have with me the Solstice Warrior, Kirklin Patzer. Really good time. We've been crushing on Sidequest here. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing very good. Yeah, we're on a roll right now. I think is it 3 weeks in a row?
I think so, yeah.
Damn, I like it. It's a good time.
Well, I feel like you do play a lot of games and you play new stuff here and there, where I feel like Travis and Taylor are a little more inconsistent in that way. But I can't say that for this month, because this month is going to be just tons of new games coming out, a lot of coverage here on SideQuest. I'm going to lay it all out for you here. Next week, I'm pretty sure we're going to do the Starfield spoiler discussion releasing for next week. And also that episode could be potentially a day late just because Thanksgiving's coming up here. So I don't know exactly when we'll record that yet. The week after that is going to be the Assassin's Creed Mirage review, so like October 16th-ish. The week after that's going to be Spider-Man 2 review on October 24th. I think, Kirkland, I've officially decided that I'm going to be bowing out. I'm not picking up a PS5, so that's going to be you and Travis. But everyone here on SideQuest, you're covered. You're going to have that still. The week after that, we will do Mario Wonder on October 31st. Are you picking that up? Do you care at all about that?
No. There's too many other things that I'm acquiring.
We'll whip it on the 24-hour stream. That'll be a good
that'd
fun one. Play some co-op there, so you can at least check it out. But yeah, that'll be at least me and Travis. Maybe Taylor will be joining for that as well. So yeah, we have all sorts of good reviews going on this month. So this will be a nice one because I feel like it's really just I have a bunch of random little games that I've been finishing up, or we're going to talk more about Sea of Stars, of course. So it's going to be a good thing in that way. But yeah, we have a fun episode here talking about some random games. We're going to do the definitive ranking of what are the best video game titles of all time / video game names.
Tough task.
I'll explain why this was kind of on my mind recently when we get to that segment, but that'll be the end of the show. Other than that, join Discord. We're always chatting about games, and Marvel Snap new season just dropped right now with also Bloodstone joining the game, so that's pretty exciting. Hit up the Patreon to get episodes early and ad-free, especially that Starfield episode. You might even get that a few days early up there. We'll have to wait and see what's going on with everything. And then, leave a review. That's pretty much it. And then there's a ton of things going on the feed. We have the new Boys spin-off show. We're doing Loki reviews. I think Ahsoka just finished. So all sorts of TV shows going on. We just did a Saw review the other day. So really, we just have a million things going on in the feeds right now. Great time to subscribe and get ready for that 24-hour stream. That's about a month away, where we're going to be playing a bunch of video games and some non-video games. We're going to be ripping out some... Well, I don't want to announce anything. I don't know what Travis has announced. I want to let him do that. It's his baby. So I'm not going to announce anything, but I'll just say, get ready. That's happening in about a month's time, which is crazy how that seemed to snuck up so quickly. But that's
I know. September flew. It's insane. I'm like... I'm very excited for the winter just because I'm like going back to school in November, and then I'm getting a big white seasons pass for the first time in my life this year. So there's just a lot of things to be looking forward to, but still.
Skiing or snowboarding?
Snowboarding. Shade took me for the first time last year, and I've since acquired a board. The last thing I need is just boots, and then I'm all geared up. I got all my snow pants, my snow jacket, and everything. So I'm very much looking forward to the winter. I feel like I'm not normally looking forward to that specific season, but times are changing. So I'm ready.
Good stuff. Let's get into talk about some of these games we've been playing. I want to leave Sea of Stars for the last segment of this. So is there anything else that you've been playing recently that you want to show?
Yeah, actually. Today I played a brand new game to me. I went over to my parents' place, and my dad, big Xbox 360 guy, he has like so many Xbox 360 games just from ones that we've like acquired, as kids, and then he like back when EB Games, I don't know if EB Games is still around, but the specific location,
still around, it might be GameStop, but
there you go. Yeah. Our specific location has closed down since, I think, due to the COVID era. But anyways, he found this game. It's called Earth Defense Force 2024.
Oh yeah,
have you ever heard of this game?
I've always wanted to play them, but I don't know when, I don't know where I should play or which one I jump into. But they look like so much fun.
Great title, which is funny for what we're going to be talking about it later on. But I definitely want to play this on the 24-hour stream. I feel like it would be such a good title for that, because it's very like simplistic in what it is. You just like choose a class, you go in there. My dad and I were playing split screen, which is great, split screen couch co-op, and you just kill giant bugs. I was getting major like Starship Troopers vibes from it.
Nice.
Which one do you have? I'm going to see if it's backwards compatible on Series X. I think it's 2024 or 2025. I can't remember what that last digit is, but it's one of those. And I don't know how many are out. Like I had definitely heard of this title in the past.
I feel like it's silently one of those series that just like every couple of years a new one comes out and like no one really talks about
yeah.
it.
So I definitely heard about it, but this is the first time I actually had a joystick in my hand and got to kill some bugs. And man, we were having a blast. At first, it seemed like very just easy. Like we're just killing giant ants and that was that. But once you get into some of the later missions, there's these like spider type creatures that can grab you. Think of like a smoker from Left 4 Dead. That's essentially what they can do. And like you can't get unhooked unless you actually kill the creature. And like we boosted up the difficulty because we were just like a cakewalk in those first few missions. And we were like, there was one mission that we tried like 4 times. So we eventually ended up able to beat it. But yeah, it was very challenging and it was just really fun because like I said, it's like very simplistic, but you just run around, you have unlimited ammo, you're just shooting these big bugs. It has destructible terrain, which was fun with my rocket launcher, just like destroying these giant skyscraper type buildings. And
isn't it just set in just like kind of nameless New York, just like a bunch of skyscrapers?
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff?
It's like very like Japanese
right.
vibes from it. Like there's these I forget what the name they are, but it's like this all female like Gundam squad essentially. It's like one of the squad one of the classes. Of course they have like no clothes on. It's just like armor over the the necessities and then these like air wings. Okay, you got a couple.
2017 and 2025 are backwards.
So 2025, that's the one
you have?
Yeah,
okay.
that's the one we played.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely play that then on the stream.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a blast because it's just couch co-op and that'll be a fun one for the wee hours. Just trying to get as far as we possibly can get. And it was one of those where like it's nice not having to like jump into a game and like go through a bunch of cutscenes or like customize your character. It's just like you choose your class, you jump in and like you're just killing bugs. So lots of fun. And yeah, I'm excited to pick that one up again. Not a game that I would normally be playing, I feel, but I'm very glad that it at least crossed my path and I was able to play it.
Nice.
Yeah. Other than that, I was just gonna quickly mention some more Marvel Snap. I'm still having fun with that. Yeah, still playing it daily. I don't have like too much to report other than just I'm still grinding. I'm still getting there. I'm still unlocking new cards and trying out some different decks here and there. I feel like I'm still trying to like really thrive with this ongoing, I guess I would call it, deck. Just really like certain cards that I have on there.
Was Spectrum as the 6 cost, or do you want Onslaught or both?
I was for a little while there. I was trying to go crazy and have like 2 6 cost cards in there.
It's not a bad idea, right? Because then you have like multiple win conditions and you have some backup plans. And if you don't draw Spectrum, and then it's like you don't have a big turn 6, that can be a big issue. So it's not a bad idea to throw a bunch of high cost cards in there.
Yeah, it can definitely work out if the cards land where they should be for you. But I also just wanted to try out some different cards that I hadn't really used before. So I'm still having lots of fun with that. There's still many cards that I'm coming across, like just playing against people, and I'm like, oh, I don't have that card. I've never seen that card before, so I still have a long way to go.
I love the animation that pops when that happens.
Yeah,
never before seen. It makes it like very cinematic.
It reminds me of like the Smash. It's like a new intruder. Whatever the little line is when you have I'm still having lots of fun with that. And then other than that, I'm still just slowly chipping away at Miles. I'm super upset because I was like trying to go for last time I was on, or it might have been 2 times ago. I was telling you I was playing Miles and I really wanted to get the platinum on it. I don't think I'm gonna get the platinum on it specifically because there's one trophy that's like beat the game on New Game Plus, and I'm like I don't think I want to like power through everything and then just go through the main story again just to get that one last achievement. So
I feel like it's pretty short. Like to do it again, especially if you're skipping cutscenes. Like, have you beat the main story yet in it?
No, I haven't. I've been like
doing a ton of side stuff.
Ton of side stuff, just trying to get all the upgrades that I can. And then whenever I like randomly come across like the main quest thing, it just like auto kicks it in, which is kind of annoying sometimes. Like it's not always like interact with this door. It's like you just swing into this one neighborhood and then it's a cutscene. It's like, oh, okay, well I guess I'm in the game now. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like once if you do everything else and that's the last achievement you have. I feel like once you beat the game and once again, if you're skipping cutscenes, I feel like you could probably get through it pretty fast. Like maybe 3 hours. I don't know. That's still I guess really a lot of the time if you are just getting a platinum and you're not don't care too
Might
much.
Be worth it.
Could be worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll report back on that because I was like really grinding for all those, and then I saw that one trophy, and one trophy, and and it's like, do I want to keep going on this quest? I don't know, maybe not. And then I kind of just, I don't know. It's not. I don't want to say back burner. Like I still boot it up every once in a while, but right now it's mostly just been Sea of Stars. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I've been playing a bunch of different things, cleaning up some things. So let's go through those. Starfield, I'm officially quote unquote done with it. I've done all the things I wanted to do in it, all the like main factions and stuff. I'm gonna save, of course, that discussion for next week with the spoiler discussion, but I can finally put that on the shelf and make room for some other things. Yes, thank you. And it's weird, right? Because like with a Bethesda game, you're never like truly done, and you're never gonna have like a final moment where you're like, okay, I'm done. Like, because I could even go back, and even I got that pull today. I'm like, I kind of want to go jump around a little bit more, but I feel like I need to make room for some other things. I also finished Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways, that DLC that I was talking about. It ended up being a good amount longer than I thought. When we talked, I think last week, I was like, oh yeah, I'm like 2-something hours in. I think I'm right at the end, but I actually had a bunch more. I was probably only halfway through the DLC. And I just sat down on one night and just played through the whole thing. I just like every time I got to a save point, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll stop here like I normally do in Resident Evil. I usually go through them pretty slowly just because they're stressful. But I was just into it so much. I just played through the whole thing pretty much in one sitting, the rest of it, and it was a really, really great time. And yeah, like it's compared to like the base game and how long the base game is, and once again, these games have a ton of replayability, and then how long this DLC is, and it's only like what, $15 or something. It's like a great value in that way, and it was really fun, and Ada's a really fun character. So yeah, really, really great time with that. I already jumped into Resident Evil 2 because I want to keep that train going. I think I'm going to save that until I'm a bit further in because I've only just played for about an hour today. But so far, so good over there. I'm really just enjoying that Resident Evil vibe right now. And then another thing that I started in August, and I talked about with you, the Tartarus Key. I don't know if you remember this one. It was like that, Saw like horror puzzle game. Yeah. And the only reason I put it down was because Starfield came out, and I was like, I'm going full in on that. I had like 2 or 3 indie games on the go, just dropped all of them for Starfield. And I didn't know if I was going to go back to this one because I was enjoying it, but I had got to like one puzzle, and it was a really tricky puzzle, and I had to like look up a walkthrough, and then whenever that happens, I'm like naturally less invested in the game. But I think just watching Saw a few days ago, it being October now, and me wanting to play a bunch of horror games, I'm like, I should go back and finish that. And I was like really close to the end, so I finished that yesterday as well, with a bit of a asterisk on it that I guess the game, and this might be slight spoilers, and no one really knows what this game is anyway, but you know, there's a big part of the game is that you're going around this twisted up mansion, and you're solving puzzles. You're trying to find your way out. It's an escape room. It's kind of like Saw. And there's various moments in the game where you will come across another survivor, and you have to solve a series of puzzles, and you only have one shot at the puzzle. And if you fuck up, they die. And if you succeed, then they like join your party. They don't really do much. They kind of just sit in the living room and wait for you to go do other things. And so this is like really compelling, right? Because it puts the stakes on. And I guess you could just make a save and like try it again and whatnot. But I'm like, I'm going to live with my consequences here. But I got to one point in the game, I lost, like the first person I had to save completely died on me. And then I think the second person, I think they also died too. Like I was just fucking up, and I was like, man, I feel bad here. But then I kept going, and then the next 2 people I saved, and one of them was like a really, really clutch finish, and I was feeling really good about it. And then so I went, saved them, got back to the living room, and then I like went out to go do the next part, and then this cutscene started, and then the game just like ended. And I was like, what the hell? And it was like a really bad ending. So I looked up some stuff, and I guess there's like different endings to this game depending on if you save people or not. And it seems like if you just even let one person die, you'll just get this bad ending. But I just feel like the pacing of it is really whack, right? Because I like was fucking up early on, but then I had this really hot streak for the last couple hours where I was saving the people, I was making good progress. So it's like, why are you even letting me continue if you're going to make a fail state here? And then looking up too, it seems like there's a bunch more of the game that can actually happen, a bunch more areas, and you go into this whole other zone if you don't fail that. So I'm like, why did you even let me have this choice? Because it was so anticlimactic that I have no intention of starting from the beginning and trying it again. So it's too bad, because I loved elements of this game. I think this was just such a bad idea, I think, for an ending state, and it had no stakes. And now this ending that I got, it's like it's a bad ending that it's evil, but it's also bad in that it's just not good whatsoever. Like, it's not interesting, it's not compelling, it doesn't tie up any of the questions I had. So yeah, it really just sucked my momentum out, and I feel like
that's too bad.
Really bad about it. Now I don't know if I could really recommend it, or I guess if I do recommend it, I would say just like before you get any of those moments, I guess just save frequently, and then whenever you get to one of those moments where you have to save someone, just restart if you fuck up and lose them. Don't like. I hate that because I like to deal with my consequences, but when it literally just takes away half the game from you, it's like, well, that's not really a good thing. So. Sort of sad update on that one, but that one's done now too. But then 2 newer games that I've been playing that I want to talk about here. They're both in our background here, so Kirklin already knows what I'm going to talk about here.
Ooh.
Do you want to hear about Disney Speedstorm or Counter-Strike 2 first?
I want to do Disney Speedstorm.
Okay. So yeah, this game, I feel like no one really knew what was going on. They like announced it and they're like, oh, it's going to be this free-to-play kart racer. It looks like Mario Kart. From the trailers, it looked really good, like the visual quality and the characters and whatnot. And then just like no one really knew what was going on, and never really had a release date. And then it just silently came out, but like in beta, and then like you couldn't really get into the beta unless you did these things. And then just randomly on like Thursday night, they're like, oh yeah, the game's like fully out now. You can just download it on any platform. And so I was like, okay, well sure, I'll jump in and check it out. Downloaded it and played a good few amount of races. And I gotta say, I'm like really impressed with the kart racing element of it. I think the game is almost exactly what I was expecting, in that from those trailers, I actually thought it looked like a really solid game, but I was worried that it is free to play and probably going to have like pretty savage monetization. And I don't know if it necessarily has that monetization element, but at least from where I'm at, it's like I've got 2 characters now and I played for a good amount of time, and it feels like it's really slow if you want to get new characters unless you just, dump a bunch of money into it. So I don't know, for a kart racer, like I'm really into just picking random characters, trying out a bunch of different people, seeing who I like, trying out these different karts and whatnot. But it seems like so much of that is gated behind like playing a bunch of the game and unlocking stuff in a battle passy way, or just like spending more money on it. And I just don't know if I really want to spend that money on it. So I almost wish this game was $20 and like had a bunch of content you could get at first, and you could say that I could put $20 into it and get a experience out of it. But I don't know, it just like rubs me the wrong way a little bit, and then their carrot on the stick element of it. But yeah, going back to actual gameplay of it, like really solid mechanics, feels really good. The game looks great, and it has some really interesting mechanics to it. That's one of the basic things with it, is that you kind of have a boost bar at the top of your screen, and you build that up by like doing drift boosting like you would do in Mario Kart, or if you there's other things that build it up. Maybe if you hit someone with an item, and if you get like a boost item and you use it, it builds up that bar. So anytime essentially that you would be getting boost in any sort of way, it builds up that bar, and then you can just pop that bar at any point to get an additional boost. So it just feels like you're getting boost all the time, whether it's the arrows on the ground that give you boost, whether it's the drifting, whether it's that boost bar, whether it's like hitting an item and getting a bonus off of that. You get like all this movement stuff that feels really good. The starting boost as well, I think, is really cool, rather than like that weird timing thing that Mario Kart does that like eventually just kind of get muscle memory for it. Instead, it's like this bar that you kind of have to time, and anytime you let go of the bar, it like starts unloading the bar, and you have to like try and like snipe this exact spot, and then there's 2 layers to it. So I like that that's kind of doing something a bit different there. There's like grinding, you're like grinding up on these things, and I don't know if that gives you boost in some way, but there's all sorts of little things in here that make the game feel really good. So I'm actually impressed with it. I think if I had 2 Xbox controllers, me and Muds would check it out and play some of it, because we like playing Mario Kart. But since I don't have that, I just don't know. I guess I could have downloaded it on Switch, but Xbox made a bit more sense at the time. Yeah. And then so the characters, it seems like there's maybe 12 to 15 characters in the game right now. You start with Mickey, and then you get Donald Duck, and then I think maybe Goofy would be the next character you get if you're just going the free-to-play route like I am. And interestingly, they all have different types. They have like classes almost. So rather than like, they have their base stats, like their speed and their size, like Mario Kart characters. But then they also have these things. So there's like the speedster type, trickster type, brawler type, defender type. And essentially all these characters get other boosts in different ways. So someone like a brawler, I assume here, I don't know how all this stuff works. Like a brawler, I guess whenever you hit someone, or if you hit them with like an item, then that will give you boost. That speeds you up. Whereas speedsters are all about just like getting bonus speed from other means. Each of the different classes like get different items from the like question mark block things. And then there's like a defender. So I guess if you just like block hits or block other people, then you get boost in that way. So yeah, it seems like there's a really interesting push and pull there going on with these different classes that also sets it apart from Mario Kart. So I guess I'm just impressed that this game is doing something very different from Mario Kart, very different from like Crash Team Racing, but it still isn't just super generic like the Nickelodeon Racer or all sorts of these other random ones. Like it seems like kind of in that top echelon in terms of quality and game feel and like interesting mechanics. So yeah, surprisingly, I'm like really, really impressed with the gameplay of it.
That's good to hear because I feel like, I mean, just from Mario Kart and CTR, like those are the only games like that I could think of. So I would have assumed that something like this would just feel a lot like those other ones that are already established. But it's cool to hear that they went their own route with just different mechanics. Like some of my concerns are on just like maybe the like it's not the easiest to get all these other characters because I'm like you, I do want to get in there and I want to try all these characters out. I want to get in there. I want to play Sully from Monsters Inc. that I see on the
which I don't
there.
like. Yeah, once again, he's in this picture that we have, and I've seen him in trailers, but like I didn't see him in game when I was looking at a character list. I didn't see him either, so I don't know if he's supposed to be coming down the line. But that's definitely a thing for me too. Is like even the characters I'm getting early on are not ones that I particularly care about. Like, I think I was about to say Johnny Depp. Jack Sparrow seems to be like kind of a. I don't know if you can get him in game by just playing, but he seems to be like the battle pass character for this month. I guess if you get him, you get like a pirates pack, sort of a pirate pack. Shouts to White Spot. But yeah, like I want Sully and Mike. I want like the Incredibles.
Yeah.
Like, these are the characters that I'm more nostalgic for. That I don't feel like there's a ton of them represented. There's even a couple people I'm like, who the fuck is this character? Like I've never seen them before. I've never heard this name before. Yeah. So yeah, there's some weirdo picks in there too. But then you have some classics.
Yeah, and then like my other thought too is on just the different classes I guess that they have for the racers because that's something that's very different from ones that I played in the past, and I'm just curious if like how balanced that is. Like, is it going to be one of those things where it is cool that you could be a defender or a brawler type, but if it's just more efficient to just go the speedster as opposed to like you have to be hitting people to get your boost, like on the brawler, pardon me, the brawler subclass that you're kind of outlining there, I feel like it would just. It's going to come down to just, okay, this is the most efficient, so therefore everybody's just going to be doing this. But who knows? If they can balance it well, that'll be really cool because even if you only have 2 characters right off the hop because you're going the free-to-play route, maybe that just opens up a lot of different... or, like, could you do, like, Mickey as a defender or a brawler? Like, can you do that?
No,
or is it just each...
Yeah, each character... Like, Mickey is a speedster, and then you get Donald, who's a trickster. I'm not exactly sure what tricksters do, but yeah like it... I guess, there is the classes which then, have their different, like, items in the pool that they can get. But, yeah, I do feel like, to me, it seems like, it's a most straightforward thing to be a speedster. You don't really have to think about these other mechanics and you just do your own thing. But, yeah, like, maybe if you are really good with a brawler, maybe it is actually stronger than a speedster in the end. Ideally, since there's only 4, you would think that they have it balanced pretty well. And since there is stats on top of it, it's not just the class. So if they find that... Right. For whatever reason, like Sully being a brawler is really strong, that they can just like tune his stats down a little bit, I guess, to balance it out. You also are upgrading stats, like with your characters. Like Mickey, I was increasing his top speed as I was going along. So I don't know if that would be... I don't know if you get upgrades based on individual character or if you get just like, here's an upgrade gem and you can use it on like whatever character you want once you've unlocked more of them. So yeah, there's some things in there that I'm not exactly sure how they work yet. And I also haven't played any online. I just went through the single player because that seemed like the best way if you want to unlock stuff is you go through these like guaranteed Grand Prix. They're not really Grand Prix, but you go through this, I don't know, very battle passy sort of thing to unlock stuff. So it seemed like I think I played like 5 or 6 different maps. A couple of them were repeated. I don't know if there was more than that or if that's it for now. That does seem pretty low if that is, but maybe there is more, or maybe they plan to release a new one every couple weeks. I don't know what their monetization model is because I can't think of any other like free to play racing games. Like that's not really common. Usually it's more like shooter games and battle royale stuff that have that free to play model. So I'm curious how that's going to work out for them. I really don't know how much more I'm going to play this game, to be honest. Like I might jump in every once in a while. Sometimes I just want to do a racing game for 15 minutes and to get my fix. But I still feel like Mario Kart is where I'm going to go at the end of the day. But it's still doing some cool stuff. Maybe when there's more interesting characters that come out. But then again, if I have to like spend money to actually try any of them out or invest a ton of hours to grind that, I don't think that's really my bag. So yeah, I think I would have preferred if this was a lower price, like just full release game that gave you everything at once and gave you all 30 racers and you can unlock a couple more or something like that.
Right. I'm curious if that'll be something if they, I don't know, pivot from, like, if they are just not getting a lot of players, it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll incentivize by making it a lot easier to get these, or just giving them for free. But also, if they go that route, maybe they're just not making money, and then they're just not going to support it anymore. Maybe they'll go the Marvel's Avengers route, where you get all these characters for $3 or whatever, but you can only play it for 6 months or whatever it might be. So if that goes the case, maybe I will jump on then, and we can do some Grand Prix or
at the end of the day, like, if anyone's looking for if you just want a free, like, fun little racing game to mess around with, like, this is a great pick. Once again, those mechanics are cool, the game feels great, it looks great, so definitely recommend it in that way. I don't know, I'm curious. I assume it's on Switch, and I wonder how it would run there, because the game does, like, look very good and has a bunch of effects going on, like, especially the Pirates of the Caribbean map. Like, there's, like, cannons going off and all sorts of particle effects and things like this. So hopefully it runs well on the Switch if it is even over there at all. But yeah, the other game is Counter-Strike 2, which has been a weird route for this, because they had the beta going on for a few months, and you just pretty much had to, like, play Counter-Strike Go and either win a certain amount of times or play enough competitive in, like, the last whatever season, whatever it was, and then you would, like, maybe get an invite and you could try and get in. So for the last few weeks, I've been playing some Counter-Strike with my friends, trying to get into the beta to check it out, because I wanted to talk about it here on Sidequest, and just never really got that invite, even though I played enough games. But then they just randomly, once again, very much in a Disney Speedstorm way, just, like, said, like, oh yeah, it's out now and you can play it. My first huge criticism of this is the way they rolled it out, because what they did is essentially, like, Counter-Strike 2 was within the client of CSGO, so you would just, like, download it in there and play the beta through CSGO. And then as of the launch of this thing, they just replaced CSGO. So CSGO does not exist anymore.
Oh.
You cannot play it. And one of the big issues with that, and maybe it's not a huge issue, is that, like, this Counter-Strike 2 does not run on, like, Mac. Like, they don't have a Mac version. And so CSGO, if you played CSGO on Mac, like, you just can't play Counter-Strike anymore. And there's nothing you can do about it. They just removed the game. They delisted it, essentially, right? They just relisted it as, like, this new game. So I hate that. I hate that I can never go back and play Counter-Strike Go. And I don't know. Maybe they announced this, but I had no idea that's how this is going to work. And I don't, like, realistically, am I going to go back and play this older version? Like, this is a very iterative sequel, obviously. But, like, you can go back and play Source still, 1.6 and all. Like, that stuff's still on Steam. So I just found it really weird. And I guess they really just wanted to make it so that, they don't want to split the player base over time. Eventually, they probably would have delisted this just to make sure, like, everyone who's playing Counter-Strike these days is, like, going to this one game to play it. And you want to keep that player base high so people can get matchmaking quick and all that. But then, like, this new game has higher settings, and it, like, doesn't always run well on my computer. So it seems like a very weird move to just delist the game, or at least have that period where if, like, okay, for another year, we're going to support Go. You can still play it if you want. Get ready. We're going to delist it at some point. Upgrade your computer if you need to, that sort of thing. So I just feel like it's a bit grimy. And once again, maybe they announced this stuff, but I feel like I'm fairly in on the news and what's going on with Counter-Strike, and I just had no idea that was going to happen. So I can play it on my computer, but then, like, randomly last night, stuttering like crazy for no particular reason. I don't think it was my internet. It was just the game was glitching out. And so I just like, well, that was kind of a waste of a night. But then other games run fine. So it's just really weird, and I don't like the way they've rolled it out. With all that aside, talking about the game itself, like I said, it's a very iterative sequel. CSGO is a great game. They're just taking that and like improving the servers, improving the visuals of all the maps, improving the quality of like grenades was one of the big things. They made the smoke grenades, for example, like actually fill out a space logically, whereas before they would like clip through walls and it would always be like a set size no matter what. You can also like shoot through a smoke to like see through it now, and then the smoke will like repopulate, so you can, I don't know, just rather than smokes being just like this unbreakable defense that they were, they're very strong and cool. Now they're just like a bit weaker in that way. They're also like a bit lower and like wider as well. And they, like I said, they kind of fill out the space they're actually in a more logical way. So they just feel less janky. But that seems like a general improvement. They also just look a lot better. The like Molotov grenades also, like the fire spreads in a more logical way and looks a lot better. The frag grenades actually like look nice now. So just a lot of little things like that where mechanically those things work for the most part the same, but they're just less janky. They feel a bit better. They feel a little more modern. The new maps, I guess there isn't really technically any new maps. It's just I haven't played Counter-Strike Go in a couple of years have been a little out of the scene. So there's been new maps, and then all those maps, along with the old ones, all have these. Just they look better. They've made like little changes and adjustments and visual updates, maybe little balance updates here or there too. So all of that just feels very fresh and new. There's some other great changes, like there's a new round format that's just makes games a bit shorter and snappier, but it doesn't. I don't know. They feel just as meaningful and the stakes feel just as high. So I think that's just general improvement. They also have it now that if you get to it normally in CS:GO, if you're playing competitive. Anytime there was a tie, like the game would just end in a tie, but now it goes into overtime like it does in the competitive format, like when they do it in tournaments, which is really great. I think that's a improvement I was wanting them to do and Go forever. I understand like sometimes it makes games longer than people expect and people only have so much time to play and that sort of thing. But since the rounds are shorter and the games are shorter, it works. And then like weapon customization is a lot better. You can change your slots out in a more. I don't really need to get into the bones of it, but like that's a really good improvement where you just customize your kits a bit more. But then of course with all this, it's like it's a new game. They're still making changes to it. There's things not in there, and like the game can be a bit glitchy at times. Aside from just those like performance issues that might prop up on like older PCs, there's just some glitches that happen here or there, some weird stuff, and I think some server things that are still trying to get sorted out there. So yeah, it's all that to say that it's been really fun. It doesn't feel like that revolutionary, right? It's just fun to go back to Counter-Strike no matter what it is, and this just feels like the version with the new bells and whistles attached to it, and it's fun to have some friends who are playing it. People are into it right now. And, the problem, too, when I was playing with my friends recently is that they've been playing consistently for a while. So they're all really, really good, and their rank is way higher. So when I play with them, I'm playing against people way better than me. And I'm just getting fucking destroyed. But now everyone's reset back down to ground zero. And so I can actually compete again. I'm still not great at the game. I've definitely fallen off from my prime days. But, it's just super fun. Really, really good time. Do you think you would jump in? Do you have any interest in checking out some Counter-Strike?
I won't say no.
It's
it's definitely like not my genre of game. Like forever. Like I've definitely dabbled in CS like way back in the 1.6 era.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Source was popping off for a while there too. So like I did play matches then, but I wouldn't say like I was a Counter-Strike player. Like I played very competitively or anything like that. I feel like I've always kind of been lackluster when it comes to first-person shooters on PC too. I just never got it dialed down on the mouse. I feel like maybe there was a stretch of time when I was really into Overwatch, and I was kind of like on my own personal peak, which is probably like way lower than the people that play very, very consistently, very competitively. But I do have a lot of great memories playing those games. Just clutching out like a crazy 1v2 clutch. Like those moments are just ingrained in my mind, even if I was bottom barrel player. So definitely I would check it out at some point. I mean, I've played all the other ones up until now, so I could definitely see myself on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think quietly, like I don't think I'll talk about it too much on Sidequest for the rest of the year, but I'll probably play this thing a bunch for the rest of the year, and it'll probably end up being one of my most played games of the year. And I don't really know how it'll factor into Game of the Year stuff, just because it is such a this is an improvement of a game. It feels like a DLC, even though they slapped a new name on it. It honestly feels a lot like Overwatch 2, which of course is a problematic comparison to make, but even in the way that they abolished Overwatch and made it Overwatch 2 with all these changes, and you can't go back to play the original one. It feels like that in a grimy way, unfortunately. But at least I don't know. I feel like with Counter-Strike there isn't really a monetization element that is bothersome. Obviously you can buy skins for your weapons, but it's always been that way. It's been that way for years, even before that was a very popular thing to do in monetization things. I think CS:GO is always like $10. I don't even know if this game costs you anything, but I didn't have to buy it as a Counter-Strike Go owner, right? Like I said, it was just a patch that happened on my Steam account one day. So I think it might just be straight up free to play now, and you just can buy weapon skins if you want, and obviously that's working out for them, and the fact that they could do this upgrade here without charging people again. So yeah, it's definitely not as horrendous as like the Overwatch 2 thing. I just think it's a little weak the way they launched this. At the same time, I'm still gonna just play a ton of it and have a great time, I'm sure.
It's certainly a bold move to just delist it in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they didn't actually delist it, but still, if you are a CS player and you just happen to have a Mac, that's such a gut wrenching thing. If that's your main game that you consistently play, and now you just can't.
I mean,
That's rough.
Looking at the stats, it probably was less than 1% of the players.
Yeah,
like, what if I
for sure.
just do it? And hopefully they get it figured out like fairly quick. Considering that it's like, I don't know, I imagine to some extent it's like the same engine and just minor improvements here or there. The game definitely feels a bit different, but not enough that I wouldn't think it's like an engine change, probably just engine overhaul sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully they can get that sorted out and whatnot. But yeah, there you go. That's Counter-Strike 2. How about that? We take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some Sea of Stars. Okay, we are back. So this is a weird one. I brought this game up kind of randomly a couple weeks ago. I was playing it, having a good time with it, and then Kirkland was like, that sounds pretty cool. And then you came back last week, and you had played it, and you were getting really into it, and now here we are talking about for the third time. So if I had foreseen this future where you were going to be really into this game, we probably would have just dedicated a whole episode to it and done it as like, here's the Sea of Stars episode. Instead, you're getting a weird piecemeal one. Sorry, audience. You're getting 3 episodes here, our weekly update. Maybe at some point I'll edit together all of that discussion into one big Sea of Stars spectacular. I don't know if we'll talk about it again. We'll see. Maybe we'll mention it here or there. But I want to hear about your journey, because last week you were struggling with a boss. You had said you maybe figured out the tip. I gave you a couple tips, and I know you've made it past that. So how has your journey been post last week?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been one of those things where I feel like, or maybe I'll just start with this. I'm about 9 hours in right now. Nice. Are you done it? I don't want to say too much.
I'm at like 18 hours. I actually played a lot in the last few days, so I've jumped in a lot more. I don't know how long it is. That whenever I get to a point, the story sets up a lot of things of like, this is going to be the final conclusion, and then you get to that point, and then just like some other thing pops up in a good way. Like, it's surprising me.
I know.
But yeah, I really have no idea how much more I have of the game, and I don't even care. I'm just like, I'm down to find out and exist in this world until I roll credits.
Absolutely. No, that was exactly what I was gonna say, actually, which it feels like I'm always coming to the big conclusion moment or something, but it's just, no, there's more, and part of me is like, what, really? Okay, let's do this. I'm loving this adventure. And in those moments too, I feel like in the back of my mind, it's like, if this is the end, it feels kind of shallow, like I feel like we can dig so much deeper. But like, so I'm about 9 hours in. I just defeated the Dweller of Woe. I think I think that's, and that one has like a big kind of story, like coin, like flip of the page or whatever you would call it, which I did not really see coming. But overall, I'm loving it. I can't wait to just plug back in. Like literally like 30 minutes ago, that was when I just defeated the Dweller, so it's fresh in my mind. And
wait, 30 minutes ago you were recording this podcast. How are you doing that?
30 minutes before. Okay, yeah. I swear, when we podcast, it's like a time it's a time slipstream in here. So yeah, about an hour and a half ago, I guess now. Just had that happen, and man, like it's so much fun. All of like the mechanics that you keep unlocking along the way, the different characters that you kind of get added to your party.
Who's in your party right now? I'm trying to remember what happened at that point.
Sarai, I think that's her name, like the assassin.
I also don't know how to pronounce her name.
Yeah, I don't know any of the names.
What, the double dots on the eye?
Yeah, exactly.
But you got her. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
and then I guess Teeks is probably there in your like campfire. In the group, whatever they call it. All
the stories, like the campfire stories. Yeah, no, I'm loving basically everything about it. Like, I'm loving all the characters. Actually, I will say, like, the main story so far isn't like the peak for me, but I feel like that's like, on a game of this scale, I feel like that's really nothing too crazy. Like, it's really about the game mechanics in my mind.
It can be slightly generic in this game.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's great moments that happen along the way, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with you in that sense.
Yeah.
That main quest, so to speak, is perhaps a bit weaker. It's more about the journey, not the destination, I guess.
I feel like the setup of it too, like this is what we're doing. This is your mission. Like, I feel like it was something that I kind of already treaded that path in a previous game before. But really, I feel like the camaraderie is such a big element of it. Like, whether it's even just like the two protagonists like interacting with each other, or like their little voice lines, in the middle of a cutscene or something. Like, I just really like my crew that I have, my party, the people that I come across. The music is fantastic. Oh my gosh. Like, especially when you go to a different area and it has like its own little I don't know. It's its own little flavor that it has. Like when you first get to the, I don't know the name of it, but it's like the haunted isle, like basically where I am right now.
So cool.
And it just has like a Halloween aesthetic as soon as you get there. Like the enemies that you're fighting. So yeah, I'm loving all of that stuff, and I'm loving like the actual battle mechanics. It feels really rewarding when you do those extra little steps to, like, you know, the quick timing or the quick block or something like that to get those perfect blocks. I loved like just like the combo abilities too that I keep unlocking. Those can be very like just visually beautiful as well as like really really clutch in a tight fight. And man, there's been so many fights that I feel like go down to the wire. Like I have one person still standing, and it's like I really hope this defeats this monster. and it just, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but it just makes it so intense. And
I had like a 25-minute long battle today against the boss. It was insane.
Jeez, that is insane.
It took forever. I don't know if I was missing a mechanic. Maybe there was a way to like weaken him and then deal bonus damage or something. But yeah, it was crazy. Thankfully, I did it and I didn't die late on and have to redo it. That would have been brutal.
There's many moments when it feels like, okay, like I have this down, you know, I'm just sticking to my one strategy. I feel like nothing can defeat me. And then all of a sudden, it's not even like it's a boss. There's like 4 random mobs that just like, I don't do the what's it called, like the block break or whatever you would call it. Yeah. Like I just don't get it done in time, and then all of a sudden they just like pop off and take out 2 of my members like super fast. It's like, oh no. So I'm really liking the difficulty of it. I feel like the puzzles are kind of a cakewalk for the most part. I
would agree with that, yeah.
But like it's not like it's a waste of time going through.
None
like
of them are too
I still
tedious,
like doing them.
at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And something that's just blown my mind along the way has been just like the way that they kind of layer their levels. And by that I mean, like, obviously it's kind of what would you call, like an isometric like view, like
I guess just top down. It's really not even isometric.
Okay,
I guess it can be isometric. It's weird that they kind of switch the perspective, I feel like, multiple times. But yeah, I think just top down would be a way to describe it. So yeah, it's like a top down view, and then maybe like your character's going like down these stairs or something, and then you'll see like a little beam above them, and then you like curl back around, climb up a little ladder, go up around, and like in that same view, you're just at like a completely different like height difference from like where you were before. I find that happens like so many different areas that you go through, and it's just, man, like in my mind I'm just like, this is so creative. Yeah, no, exactly. Like, it's so creative how they tackled this. I can't think of another JRPG that does that. Most of them, like I said in that first episode that we did, or maybe it was the second one, like they often feel very stiff, and like the movement doesn't feel good in the games. It's not really about that. It's more about just like moving around until you get into battle, and that's where the gameplay happens. But I love that they incorporated like a movement element to it. And like, how many times on Sidequest do I complain about like crawling on ledges or going through little cubby holes and all this annoying shit that like bothers me so much in games? But it's like, it's used so sparingly here that it just adds to this adventure and makes it really feel like you're going on a journey. And then oftentimes you'll like do a bunch of work to climb up something, you'll like accomplish your goal, and you have to go back down. Like, there's never really fast traveling in this game for the most part, right? So you actually have to like backtrack through areas, but they do that so well too, or either you've unlocked a shortcut, so now you can easily get to that place again if you need to go back up, or when you're just jumping down a bunch of ledges to get back down to where you started from is also super satisfying. Then oftentimes you'll find little hidden pathways that you didn't see too because of doing that. So satisfying to move around.
Oh, exactly. And like, because it is so satisfying to move around, I find myself just wanting to explore and like go to every little area of the set map that I'm on, and it just made the overall adventure just that much more fun. You know, paired up with the fantastic music that's in it, and I'm really digging this. I'm liking all the mechanics. I'm glad I'm sticking to it as well. I'm definitely gonna be finishing this game. Because like I don't know. I feel like maybe when I was Googling, like back when I was struggling with the Mist guy, I was just doing some Googles on it, and somewhere I saw it said like the final runtime is like 10 hours or something, and I don't know where I read that, because that is crazy, definitely false. Because I'm at like hour 9 right now, which obviously like leading up to this area, like where I'm at in the game right now, I knew I was at like 9 hours, and just with the 10 hour like like runtime in the back of my mind. I'm like, am I really at the end of the game? Like, there's no way this is possible. And then of course that little twist happens in the story. And then just because I'm playing on PlayStation, I just like opened up the trophy list, and you can kind of get a feel of which ones are like the main story, like trophies, just because they're like hidden unlocks. They're going in like a line from where I'm at right now. I'm like,
I'm
okay,
I'm playing on Switch, so I like never really. You know, I don't get achievement pops, so I haven't even thought about like the length of the game in that way. But that is usually a good way to like tell how much.
Yeah, so that realization is like, okay, yeah, there's actually cool. Like, I don't even think I'm halfway through the game. Like it actually looks pretty lengthy. If each one of these hidden trophies is like a boss per level.
I feel like I have a few more hours to go, and once again, there could be another big open up moment where some other crazy thing happens, and there's been a couple of those so far. So.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as I get through this game, I definitely would love to talk to you about it. At least, you know, the conclusion to the story, because I really love this one, and it's just, I don't know, it's made me really want to rethink my look on these JRPGs. A lot of the great titles that I've heard about that I've just never really played. Chrono Trigger, exactly. Crosscode is another one I really want to play from back when you talked about that.
Yeah, that game's cool.
On Sidequest. So yeah, no, and that
game's a lot more actiony than like that's not a turn-based game. Crosscode.
Yeah,
a lot of puzzles, but it actually feels a lot like this game in terms of the moving around, exploring, that sort of thing. I think that game's quite long. That's once again another reason to go to Chrono Trigger is that it's a very short game. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I'm loving the game. I'm so glad that you brought it up on that episode. And like again, if this wasn't on my PlayStation Plus, like there's no way I would have even played it. So I'm glad I had access to it and actually jumped in it, because it's a great time. Yeah,
one thing with the combat, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I love the like healing system in this game, because I find that healing or reviving in JRPGs is usually a bit of a pain point, where you like have maybe a very limited resources of like how many times you can revive. Like it's just the most valuable thing, so you like never want to use it, and then like I just end up never actually using it, because I always want to keep it in my pack for like a more dangerous battle that will make me use the revive. But I love what they did in this game, that essentially you just have to sit out for an amount of turns. Your character's is like knocked out with the stars over their head, and then if you get knocked out more and more, or if more units get knocked out, they just have more turns that they're sitting out. And that just adds to like, man, I got to hang on here. And you're just using your one unit, you're just eating food every turn, like just tanking all these shots and waiting until the rest of your teammates pop up. So I think that's genius. I love too that there's no health potions in this game. Nothing that you can just like gather a bunch of or get too many of, or have to like, I have to go back to town and buy this stuff. I think the cooking mechanic is genius, and that it's like feeds into you exploring the world. I'm going to collect these tomatoes over here, I'm going to collect this. I'm going to go fishing at these lakes that pop up all the time. And I like the fishing mini game is fun. And then like there's that limit, that hard limit of 10. And like where I'm at, I've never I don't increase that limit. It seems like it's always going to be 10. And that's just a really perfect balanced system where I'm using that as much as I want, because I know I can just go back and replenish those. And also it's like, man, I'm buying recipes at shops if I see them, because I definitely want more options of things to make there. So I think just that is a really genius little mechanic there. It just simplifies healing without making it tedious, and not making the game a cakewalk either, because you can only have up to 10 heals at a given time. So
no, exactly. Like I was saying earlier, there is maybe some false confidence I was gaining of like, okay, I like this is super easy. I feel like I could just get through everything, and I had a full 10 out of 10 inventory on my food. Where I'm at right now, I have 0 food in my inventory, and it's not because I have no ingredients. It's because I had to use all of it, and then, and then I ran through all my ingredients, and like I was just struggling. And then like every time I would beat like a little mini boss to go to like the next area, I'm like running back to my camp, like licking my wounds, refreshing, making any recipes I can with the foraging that I did for the ingredients there. So I just really like the gameplay loop of it. It definitely makes me want to just keep going back for more. And something else I want to mention is I loved your Fable Lost Chapters comparisons that you made there. And man, I feel like it's not even a coincidence. I definitely think that they got some inspiration from it, because the headmaster is exactly like the guild master in so many different ways. You have like the whole school aspect, the Zenith Academy, I believe it's called in this one, but also like I don't know exactly what these characters are. I know they're villains. I know them as like just numbers. They're like 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right, yep.
The road characters. I'm like, man, that is exactly what Jack of Blades looks like, which is like the main villain from Fable Lost Chapters with the white mask, the red eyes, and the red hood. It's just like, oh, okay, they definitely got inspired from that title there. So, I don't know. I just love those nods, obviously, because I love Fable Lost Chapters. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
So obviously there's like basic attacks, there's magic attacks, there's a combo attacks we talked about. There's also, this is maybe a slight spoiler, but I think you'll be okay with this. There's like an ultimate attack that you can get that is like another bar related to the other stuff that builds up over time. I've only unlocked one ultimate ability, and I thought it was really cool that Sarai is like the first character that I got that for, and I assume that's like how it's supposed to be. I just thought, normally like the fourth player to join your party is not the one who's going to get an ability like that first. You would think the protagonists are going to get it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it is like the fucking most wild animation, attack animation of like maybe any game I've ever seen. It is insane. Jeez. So over the top. So I'm excited for you to see that because I just pop off every time I see it. I'm always happy
awesome.
when that pops up.
I thought her Venom Flurry was crazy enough when she keeps like jumping through the portals.
Yes, that was that moment I was telling you about. That's kind of like in Portal 1 with that one mission.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Always shoot another one. That's cool. Yeah, I like her moveset. Like it works really well with the crew. Like they being able to kick enemies and delay their time to attack is a really fun mechanic.
Game changer. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one maybe underwhelming one is like her backstab.
I agree.
Ability.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I barely use it because I don't want to like use that much mana on it because it doesn't really seem that effective. And I also find like maybe with that ability, it's hard to get the timing down to get the bonus attack or like the bonus damage on it. So maybe that's where it's not super effective either. But I think more for her, it's the combos and then that Venom Flurry and the delayed attack. Like those are all I need. Now that I have this ultimate, like once again, I'm never
that's awesome.
That other like backstab ability. I don't want to like. I think with the main story, I don't really want to spoil anything, but I'll just say this: that like, there's so many just really cool and surprising moments that happen, some unexpected things, and I just feel like I just want to leave it as vague as that. I just want to say this game has like some really cool moments that like really, I don't know, just very unexpected. I'm gonna leave it at that. I could say more, but I feel like I should stop there.
Leave it there.
Yeah, and then I think the last thing I wanted to shout out here for Sea of Stars is I messaged you about this earlier, which is that in the bars in this game, there's this game called Wheels. And I love that this game has this because this game's already like doing so many things, but the fact that it's like, oh, we're going to tack on this whole other mini game that has all these mechanics and like has progression to it. This is the thing I love. I love in like Horizon Zero Dawn, or I guess, sorry, it's Horizon Forbidden West that added it, where in the towns there's like this little game that this little like tactic strategy game that people will play, and you can challenge people to that. Like Gwent, is a thing in The Witcher. Right. To me, that adds so much to a game, and I feel like Bethesda always has that in their world. Like there is a game that people play, and whenever you go to bar, like they'll have things laid out, but then like you can never actually play the game. It's like not actually a part of it. Or other games will do that too. They'll like mention this game that exists, but you can't actually play it yourself. And I find that it's something I get really into whenever I'm in these games. I just want to figure out all the mechanics of this little mini game, and I love Wheels. I think Wheels is a fantastic game. So I want to break it down a little bit because I feel like it took me a while to understand like all the mechanics that are going on with it. And when I talk to you, it seems like you just don't really know what's going on yet with it. Would that be a fair estimate?
I tried to get behind it, but I feel like it is very deep strategy wise. Like the base mechanics aren't anything too crazy, but just knowing kind of where to focus like my prioritization, I feel like that's something I'm kind of lacking. And just in those moments, like I told you off cat, like I think I just took 4 straight defeats. I've never won a game of Wheels, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna go and try and save Garl or something. Like I'm gonna go enjoy the main game. But I am very glad it is in there, and I feel like I could definitely see myself getting into it because like the other titles that you listed, like I usually get really into those games. Fable Lost Chapters had those in many different areas. There was like a memory game, and I just remember playing all of those, and you don't get a lot for it. You might get like a little gold here and there, but this one's hard.
Yeah, so I'll explain a couple of mechanics because I think you should check it out because it's really cool. First of all, I love the aesthetic of it, and I freaking love the sound effects that are happening. All these little clicks and clacks of like this very this is a magical world where there is some tech going on, but this feels like the most rudimentary thing where you can just hear all these little pieces clicking into place. It's really satisfying and tactile feel. But essentially, the way it works is like you have 3 rounds of like rolling. I'll say rolling the dice. You're rolling these like 5 slots that pop up, and then you can lock things, and then you can like keep rolling to try and get the things you want. I think one of the main things that I did not pick up for a while is that, so for example, there's 2 sides, right? You have like let's say a knight and then like an archer on the other side. Each one of them, like one of them has like the diamond, the other one has the square. And then there's like also the hammers that you can use to like build up your wall. And so essentially you're rolling those dice and you're picking like which results you want. And then after those 3 rounds or whenever you've locked everything in, then those are the actions that take place. One thing that I found was maybe a bit unintuitive is like, you might think like, man, if I could get all 5 of my slots to be like the double square attack, then that's going to be huge. I'm going to get huge damage. But like those things don't stack. You can only get 1 double attack. So in theory, like I think what you kind of want is to have like the square, like 1 square and then a 2 square tile, and then a 1 diamond and a 2 tile diamond. That way you'll get like as much as you can. Because if you keep stacking a bunch of squares, they're just not going to work. You can only get like a 1, a 2, and then sometimes you'll see a 3, like it's 3 squares in that you can roll for. And so in that case, you could get like, I guess 3 ticks at the same time. But otherwise, yeah, you don't actually want to like fully stack in that way because it doesn't work like that. The only thing that does stack is like sometimes the ones will have like kind of blue dust underneath them, and those are what like upgrade your units to the next tier. Those you can stack as many times as you want. So if you get all 5 of those, you'll get all 5 of those points put into your character. And then with those things too, there's never any overflow, whether you're upgrading characters or whether you get an attack. So you don't want to like just dump all your points into one thing if you're only 1 peg away from an upgrade. Just all you need is 1, and then try and get some other things that are going to happen on your turn. So those would be a couple tips I'll throw at you. Another couple, and that works the same with the hammers. So you'll either see a single hammer or a double hammer, and that builds up your wall. But if you get 5 double hammers, you're only going to get the double hammer once. It's not going to stack in that way.
That makes a lot of sense. Looking back on my results.
It is unintuitive. It's a bit weird. In theory, you want like, I want all the big numbers, but that's not necessarily the best way to do it. And then just for the character stats, like they have an attack stat and then like a weird like 3 square stat.
Yeah.
That is pretty much, the square stat is how much damage they deal to a wall, and then the other one is how much damage they'll deal like to the face or to the flag of the character. Okay. So for example, if your opponent has a big wall built up and you have, let's say, a knight and then, I don't know, maybe like a mage, you probably want to use your knight. You want to try and prioritize like to get your knight to attack because he does more damage to walls. So you can use him to break down the wall, and then your mage will go in. The difference between them, I don't really know what the archer does uniquely. It seems like it's just a worse version of the knight. I feel like I'm missing something there.
I think it can shoot over, like if your wall is really low and you haven't upgraded it to a high enough level, like the arrow will still go over the wall. From my understanding.
Because I know there's also like a thief, I don't know what you'd call them, like trophy, I guess, that you can get later on. And that one will, no matter how big the wall is, like he sneaks past the wall and hits your face, but he has very low damage. So I guess, maybe the archer does the same thing, but only like if the wall is at a certain height is what it is. The mage will attack twice. That's their bonus. And then the knight, did I say that correctly? The mage will attack twice. And then the knight just, I think, has like generally the highest base stats, but doesn't do anything special. There's also a healer that'll pop up later that will like power up your other unit, which I haven't unlocked yet. I've just seen my opponents use it. And then it can also like heal the HP of your kingdom, your castle, whatever it's called. So I think that's like all the mechanics. But like I think the feel of it is such a big part. It feels and sounds so good. But I think it's like a really good strategy game. And I found like the first couple bars that I went to that had this were fairly easy. It took me a couple tries, but I was able to get through it like no problem-ish. But then when I got to this most recent town that I just got to, it took me like 6 or 7 tries, and I was trying all these different combinations of units and like which side they're on and all these different things. And it took me a while, but eventually that's where I like really figured out how all these mechanics work. Because I'm like, why am I only getting 2 pegs here? I should be getting like 5. And I'm like, okay, it must be that you only get 1 of each. So maybe some better tutorialization could have happened there. I know there is like, you can talk to the guy in a beginner game. He'll like teach you some stuff, but I feel like he doesn't teach you all the ins and outs and some of those like things like that.
It's mostly just like go to the game tutorial, like pause the game and like go to options, and then you have game help. And like
I didn't even think to do that.
It's a lot of text, but I did want to play, at least get some understanding of how to play it. So I like glossed through it very quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I didn't see like what you said, you can't double stack it. That would have been a big one because I was like, okay, the mage seems to be very effective because it shoots twice. So let's just focus on this one. So I would like dump all my diamonds or whatever into that one. And then it just seemed so random. It seemed like I would shoot like 2 shots and then I just get hit by like 5 barrages. And it's like, oh, okay, this is the first bar. So this must be the easiest difficulty on this Wheels game. I don't think this Wheels game is for me. And then I just moved on.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think maybe the good thing here is that as far as I can remember, I don't think I've gotten anytime you beat someone in the champion game, you'll get a reward, but that reward is always a Wheels related thing, whether that's a new unit or like the new, like you get like bronze, silver, gold, like a wheel, I guess. And I don't actually know what that, I think that maybe just lets you challenge people at a different difficulty. Maybe it's just some sort of progression to prove how good you are. But it seems like, like all the rewards you're going to get from that are just for Wheels. So if you're not into Wheels, you don't need to do it. It's not like you're missing out on a great new dagger set for Sarai if you don't do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, maybe give it one more try with those new couple things in the back of your head and see if you're into it. Because I found that, I just, even after I beat someone in champion game, I'm like, man, give me a whole fucking tournament of this. I want everyone in this town to play this game. I want to challenge everyone to it. It's better than a variety of games, like full games I've played this year.
Yeah,
like that crazy? One mini game within Sea of Stars is better than like other games I've played this year. So that's how high the praise is for me. I think it's really, really great and really clever. I think that's it. Anything else on Sea of Stars? I freaking love this game. I'm just having so much fun with it, and I just can't put it down. The last few days I've really been glued in on it. Yeah, no, I can't wait to jump back in, and I can't wait to beat my first JRPG. I don't think I've ever beaten a JRPG before, so this will be a big moment for me. I love that. Yeah, I can't wait to hear how that goes. Let's take our last break of the show. We will be right back for our main topic. Okay, we are back. It is time for our main topic, which is making the definitive ranking of what are the top 10 best video game titles of all time. So this is a slight spoiler for my first pick, but I was thinking about this earlier this year when I was playing Pseudo Regalia, which is a game I told you about, which is kind of that Metroidvania 3D platformer. And I was like, man, I just love that word so much. I love saying that. I think it's so cool. It's spelled cool. And then when you think about it, it's like I don't really know exactly what it means. Like in the game, I guess pseudo means false, and then regalia would be like regal, like kingdoms and stuff like that. And in the game, there's like a lot of thrones that don't have any kings, so maybe it's like there's false king. I don't even know. I don't really understand how it ties into the game, but it doesn't really matter in that case because I think that just the word sounds so good. Pseudo regalia. I just love it. I love it so much. And so it's made me think of like, man, what are some other just like all-time great video game titles? And I wanted to have this discussion with you. So the way we've done this is we've each picked 15 game titles. Now you could pick like a series, you could pick an individual game with its subtitle if you think that's the best one. We're each going to law about 15, and then we're going to narrow that down to the top 10, and we'll rank it too. So we're going to have all this fun with it. But in doing this exercise and making your kind of short list, or maybe it's a long list, I don't know how many, are you noticing any, what's the word? Any like commonalities? Is there any threads that are like, oh, I tend to like names with this, or the things I generally don't like? Is there any similarities, patterns you can notice in your list? For the ones I don't like, yes, like very basic titles that I feel like it's just a set name to like reveal, I don't know, I guess what the substance of the game is. It's just, for me, that kind of falls flat. Like maybe a minor spoiler here. I feel like Super Mario is not the greatest. It's not the greatest video game title of all time because it's just a dude's name. It's just Mario. And it's Super Mario Bros too, and like Bros is like, come on, Bros. Yeah, no, exactly. So like for me, very iconic game, but not really what I would go for. Sorry, just to cut in, I noticed that too, where I'm like thinking about my personal favorite games. I'm like Super Smash Brothers Melee. Like I think Melee is a cool moniker, but Super Smash Bros is actually like, it's kind of stupid, right? Like it's really, and it's obviously using the Mario Bros naming scheme for it, but then also like the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, one of my favorite games. I think Morrowind, once again, Morrowind's a cool word. I like the subtitle, but the Elder Scrolls 3, like, that's so cringe. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
This is dumb. And like the games aren't really, there's sometimes an Elder Scroll in the game, but it's like not really part of it either. So yeah, I don't think this, to me, it doesn't, when I look at my list, there are some games here that are personal favorites of mine. For the most part, there's even games here I've never even played. And I'm just like, I just love that title so much. So it can make it on the list.
So then on the other side of the spectrum, like ones that just really call to me, I feel like really just kind of like what you said with the pseudo regalia, like something that just rolls off the tongue really nicely, and it just, me saying it like gives me dopamine, like it's just like a little shot of dopamine, like, oh man, like it just flows so nicely. It's like eye candy, but instead of your eyes, it's for your mouth. Like it just feels so good to say. So like those ones are definitely my mind. And then also just really, this is gonna sound very generic, but just really interesting sounding titles. Then obviously, you know, that's like subjective, but I just feel like something that if someone tells me a name for something, it's just like, ooh, like what is that? Like that sounds interesting. Like that sounds badass. That sounds interesting. And all of those things like wrapped into something that piques my interest. I feel like that gets a lot of points for me. I'm kind of a sucker when they get creative with titles too. So maybe, I don't know, throwing in like a letter for a word in some areas. You know, don't want to spoil anything.
I found like generally I avoided numbers, but there are a couple of exceptions of certain numbers that work, or number combination. But yeah, generally, like, I don't know, if there's a series, like, I'm not going to go with the series name 2. You know, I'm not going to go with Last of Us 2. I'm just going to go with Last of Us. Like, that's going to sound better generally. But then, yeah, sometimes they get pretty creative with them.
No, exactly. So, like, when I was first making my list, I was just going, like, super funky ones that were just bouncing my mind. And then I was looking through just, like, my own personal, like, gaming library lists. And I just feel like there's a lot of cool titles out there that it's not even so much like it's an iconic franchise. It's just, that's a really cool sounding game series or just game. So I feel like I would have been kicking myself if I didn't throw those on the list. I'm not sure.
Oh, absolutely. I have a couple of just weirdo picks that no one's ever heard of these games, but I just love the name of it.
That's what I was expecting from you for sure. Yeah. I'm expecting a lot of weird indie titles, but I'm excited to get started.
I guess for me too. I feel like I even noticed like certain syllable things. Like I feel like titles that have 2 words and each word is 2 syllables, and even on top of that, like alliteration between it, like the first letter is the same. I feel like that's like a sweet spot that like I found a few in there that sounded particularly good. And then I think for me, it's also like if the name has multiple meanings, right? Like maybe it's the name of the series, but then somehow like the actual title maybe it reflects on like the gameplay in it, or like a story element or a theme, or maybe if you can hit all 3 of those at the same time, for example, then you're fucking hitting the gold mine. Like there was an indie game that came out last year called Grapple Dog. That's not on my list, but it's like that tells you exactly what the game is. Like you play as a dog and you have a grappling hook and you just move around. Like that's what the game is. So something like that's a great title for telling you exactly what the game is. Not all of mine have that moniker. Like once again, pseudo regalia doesn't really tell you what the gameplay is there, but I think that is a bonus I noticed on some of mine. That's like that. I feel like if I can think about the title and then think about the actual game, right? Even like if you can pinpoint a series that has all these different games or maybe sub games in it, and like the title is just so meaningful that it makes you think of something specific, I think that kind of thing is pretty cool too. So I already threw out my first one, pseudo regalia. So how about you throw out your next one here?
Counter.
Can explain why you love it so much.
Okay, I've never played this game ever, but I have to throw it out first because this title for the game, I swear it lives rent free in my mind. I feel like I just think of this title every so often. Like I'll just be at work and it'll just pop in my mind, and it's very, very repetitive. Like you just spew out there, rolls off the tongue very nicely. Parappa the Rappa.
Okay, yeah.
So a rhythm game for PlayStation. I've looked up a couple of video clips on this just because I heard the title and had to check out what this game was, and there's some like really funky songs in it too. But I just love that title for a video game. Like I think it's the main character, Parappa, and guess what he does? He's a rapper. Like it's it's very easy. But yeah, I knew that was gonna be on my list as soon as
that's a very 90s pick for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So there you go. That's my first pick.
Nice. Let's see. So I'm going to go with this one. This is going to be a weirdo random game that I guarantee no one's heard of, but if one person has, they're going to like that I showed this game out. But this one hits all that what I mentioned earlier, where it has 2 words, 2 syllables, and it has alliteration. Tribal Trouble. This was like an RTS game that me and my friend used to play back in like, I don't know, when I was a kid. This is like kids' first like RTS game. It's very basic, very simple. I don't need to explain what the game is, but Tribal Trouble. You know, it's an RTS game where these tribes, they're in trouble. They're fighting each other. But I just love, it's kind of got like multiple rhymes, right? It's because it starts with TR for both the words, and then it has like the B somewhere in the middle of the word, Tribal Trouble. Like there's so many ways that this title works so perfectly. Just freaking, like, just say it a couple times, Kirkland.
Yeah.
Like, you'll feel good.
Tribal Trouble. It reminds me of the old Flash game, Bubble Trouble. I remember playing that all the time.
That's a great one, Bubble Trouble as well. That's an honorable mention if it's not.
That's an honorable mention. It's too similar to Tribal Trouble, so I don't want to just piggyback on what you mentioned there. But yeah, great title here. Nice. Okay, for the next one, it's not super interesting, but I feel like it's just one of the most iconic video game franchises of all time, and it also is just one of the greatest video game titles I think was ever made. Final Fantasy. You know, very simple, but like it could cover so many different things. Like, think of what Final Fantasy is for those games. I feel like you could call Final Fantasy like an Elder Scrolls title sort of thing. Like it just fits so many different genres because it's just the Final Fantasy. Like when I hear that, I'm intrigued. I feel like the first time I picked up a Final Fantasy game on PS1, like without actually playing it, it's just like this game looks and sounds interesting just by the title. So that's like my big title. I got a couple like AAA games on here. I didn't want to throw in too many just because I don't know. I didn't want to be too basic, but that one it's such a good title.
When I was thinking through my list, I was like, is it like a bit generic? Final Fantasy, like I think it is, but like it isn't at the same time, and I think it actually fits because all those games are not really sequels to each other, right? Even though there's 16 of them, they're all like their own thing, like mechanically, story-wise, all this sort of thing. Yeah. But I got to say, I love just FF. I love that quick hand, and then like FF with like the Roman numerals next to it. I think is also something that looks really nice. So I think it's a bit of a multi-tool in that way. So I can agree with you in that way. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm gonna go with, this is a classic, one of the OG games, and I have a couple variants here. You can help me pick which one we want to go with. Okay. But Tetris. Tetris is a fucking great name. It doesn't tell you what it is, but nowadays it does because everyone knows what Tetris is. Yeah. But like Tetris, it's just simple. It's effective. A couple versions I was thinking of. I've always thought the sound of Tetris Effect was really good, and obviously that's like a thing, right? The Tetris Effect is like when you close your eyes and you can picture the blocks falling because you're just playing the game so much. And so the fact that they named one of the games that, I think, is fantastic. And then also just Tetris 99. I think the 99 is a rare number that I like. So I like that there's F-Zero 99, there's Pac-Man 99, there's the different ones. I think that's a number that I'm actually into because obviously it's like, well, it's not the 99th game. I mean, maybe there's been 99 Tetris releases in the history of time. But what do you think? Tetris Effect, Tetris 99. We should pick one. What one do you think is the best? Is it just the OG, or do you like one of these additive words?
I do like the additive ones, but I feel like it is like if I'm comparing those additive ones to just the original flavor, I feel like I'm just picking Tetris all day. So let's do it. Just the basic, yeah.
Nice.
Great pick though. That's one of the most iconic titles there. Okay, let's go Castlevania.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah, I love that title so much. I feel like when I think of just that Vania, like without even putting, like whether you say Metroidvania or something, like my mind just thinks of Castlevania because it's just such a, I don't know, pairs so well together. So I don't think I've ever played a Castlevania game, maybe like one of the originals way back in the day on one of the older Nintendo systems. But yeah, I love that title.
I think they have some good subtitle names too. Like there's Aria of Sorrow, there's Harmony of Dissonance, there's Rondo of Blood. Like I don't know, I really like the subtitles in that series too. There's some good ones, but I think for this I'm happy with just Castlevania. There's also like Simon's Quest, which is like, that's kind of lame. We don't need. Yeah, that's not a good title, but yeah, Castlevania works. Let's go with a personal favorite here, a game that we did a retrospective of this year. Ooh. I'm going Arx Fatalis.
Okay,
I love 100%. The name Arx Fatalis. I love that you can shorthand it to just Arx, and that works. Obviously, not many people know what this game is, so if you just said that, they wouldn't know what you're talking about. But I like it. I think I noticed that I have multiple that end with IS. Like I think that's a fun, like very kind of Latin way to end a word, Fatalis. And I love that we obviously know this because we did the retro, but that somehow translates in some way to Fatal Fortress, which I think is also a very cool name and title.
FF.
Yeah, there you go, another FF. But yeah, I love the name Arx Fatalis.
Yes, I agree. It's great sounding title. Another one of those where, you know, if it was back in the 90s, you just pick up like that CD. It's like, what is this? I want to know what Arc
The
Palace
font
is.
adds to it as well because the font is so sick. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go. What about System Shock?
It was on my
okay, nice.
It wasn't in my top tier, but it was in my like I didn't even pick 15 in my top tier because I knew you were going to take some of mine. So I'm glad you picked that one because that is a great one.
Yeah, no, I love that. Like, just love that title. I feel like it doesn't tell too much of what's going on there, but also like if you understand a little bit more what the game is, like it does fit very well there as well. So.
Very good, very good. Okay, I'm gonna go with a weird one here. So this one might need some explanation for it, but WarioWare Twisted. WarioWare Twisted.
Explain yourself.
Specifically Twisted. I love just the name WarioWare. I think that's a great name for this kind of sub-series of Wario's weird games. I like it because it's like, what is it? Is it software? Is he making hardware? No, he's making WarioWare. He's making some weird-ass Wario games. And in the WarioWare games, it's like Wario is canonically making video games. And so I think it's cool that they're called WarioWare. It's kind of fun. It's kind of got the double W in there, so a little alliteration. And then specifically Twisted. I think Twisted's like just a good-sounding word. It's kind of cool. It's kind of weird. Wario as a character, very twisted guy. What he's doing is also pretty twisted, just making these freak show games that he's just trying to make a profit for. He's just making shovelware, essentially. But then also, the third tier on this is that Twisted it's a Game Boy Advance one, and it has like a gyroscope or like a acceleron. It has something in it, and so the way you control the game and do the mini games is by like twisting the console around. So it's like it has all these like layers of meaning to it that I think is really cool. And I thought about that too. Maybe this is an honorable mention, but like Twisted Metal I think is another like
that's what I was going to
name.
piggyback on.
Yeah, like Twisted is just a good word. So yeah, shout outs to WarioWare Twisted.
Yeah, no, I like it. Don't know if I've ever heard of that one, but I definitely know WarioWare.
Yeah, it's weird one. Like I don't know if they could put it on the Switch because I don't know if the Switch could do those controls of like the motion stuff. Like that might be a game that's kind of lost to time, unfortunately, because it's like you need that GBA cartridge because it's got the weird tech like literally inside the cartridge itself. Even though Switch has, you know, the Joy-Con stuff, but I don't know if it would translate for the program inside of it. But yeah, there you go. WarioWare Twisted.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna go over PlayStation again. Okay. Little Big Planet.
Nice.
It's not like a big alliteration or anything. You know, it doesn't necessarily just pop off the tongue or something. But I just feel like, especially like when you think of what the game actually is, like it just fits so well, and it's just a very cute name for a very cute game. And you know it's true because it rhymes. So yeah, I love this title, Little Big Planet.
Yep. Nice.
You know, you can throw in whatever number on there you want, but just the original.
Yeah. I'm going to go, this is another one where I don't have an actual individual pick, but I've always loved the Nintendo 64 and having the 64 name for them, right? Because obviously these aren't the 64th game in the series, but that's just what they called it, like all the games that came out on that console, and it obviously is like the console was 64-bit, so it kind of refers to actual hardware side of things too. It has a little double meaning there. So which one do you think? Do you like? Obviously you just kind of shit on Mario a little bit here, but like, what do you? Super Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, Star Fox 64. These are the ones that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But I needed something with a 64 on this list in some way. Which one do you like best? Or there's Pilot Wings 64, Dr. Mario 64.
Yeah,
I think I'm leaning Donkey Kong or Star Fox if I had to pick
I was gonna say DK or Star Fox. Star Fox, I maybe would put a little bit above it just because it's a little bit more of a sci-fi feel, like 64. I don't know, it feels a little more futuristic. Yeah. But also DK 64
I like
is
what
just
you said,
very
though.
iconic.
I think shortening it, I think it sounds good as Donkey Kong 64 or DK 64.
Yeah.
Like either way it works well. So maybe we'll do that one for the
there
double. The double of it.
The double of it.
The double of it.
Okay. What about Galaga?
Okay.
It's not like I don't know. It's not something that I just think of as like I know it's an iconic game, but it's not like something I think of. It's just like it brings me a lot of joy just thinking about that title.
Yeah.
But it's just such a. It seems like a very odd word, so to like have it titled as a game, especially for what Galaga is, it's just it's unique enough that I wanted to throw it on there.
I like words that end with A. I know that's a very like basic statement to make, but I've noticed that even in my writing, I'm drawn to like names that end in A. So I like that you've had a few here. You've had Castlevania, Parappa the Rappa, Galaga now. So you like the names that end in A too. So I'm with you on that.
You're seeing my patterns.
I'm seeing your patterns. How about this? This might be the most simple one that we have on our list today. Doom.
Oh, okay. It was also on my list as well.
Okay.
I was wondering if I was going to put it on the honorable mention or not, just because it is so great, especially with how short it is. But I also have like some other titles on my list that are just like the one words, and I was trying to think of like, okay, Doom is so iconic, but is it just iconic because of what the game is? But I don't know. It's also just such a great like
I think it's a good word,
game
like,
title.
You know, Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom. Like Doom is just a good, powerful word. It's good, like thematically tied in. And then I think for me too, like I also think about Doom as it's a good precursor to whatever. Like Doom 2, I think even sounds good. Like Doom 64 is another one. Doom Eternal. Like I think whatever you throw on there, they all kind of sound cool and interesting still. So I think Doom is just that works because like the base word is so strong.
Especially because like I just picture that font that they have for Doom, and man, that
definitely.
font adds some extra flavor to that word. Okay. What about Tomb Raider? I think it's one that, you know, it speaks a lot for what you're going to be doing, but it's just such a great iconic title as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good one.
Simple
Two good
but
words.
sweet. Yeah.
Two good words pieced together, and they work well together.
Yeah.
Here's a big, big AAA storied series. And I have no idea what it actually means, but I've always loved the sound of it. Metal Gear Solid.
Nice. Yes, that was also my list.
Yeah, I don't like. I know that I think because it started as Metal Gear, and then they added Solid, and like Solid Snake was the character, but like I don't even know why that's his name. I have no idea where Metal or Gear come from. Obviously, there's like tech in the game, like mechs, and I don't know, all sorts of weird stuff. So I have no idea what like the words actually mean in terms of the game or story or world, but I don't even care. I just think it works. It's like Metal Gear Solid. You have like a 2-syllable, a 1-syllable, a 2-syllable, kind of sounds nice in that way. I don't actually really like the subtitles that a lot of games have had, like Peace Walker or Snake Eater, like Phantom Pain. Where like I think they all sound kind of stupid actually, but I think the base series name is really solid.
Oh, 100%. I remember the first time I was at a friend's house that he had Metal Gear Solid, and I was just like so perplexed as to what this means. Like what does this mean for? I think that title was Metal Gear Solid: Guns of the Patriots. So it's like, okay,
dumb title.
Yeah, it's like, okay, there's gonna be guns and like maybe war in here, but like really like what are these? Like why is this iconic game franchise? Why is it titled this, and what does this mean in the game? So yeah, good pick.
MGS is a good shorthand for it as well. I've always liked those letters. Yeah, that works well.
Exactly. I think I was mentioning it on the review that we recently did because I just love this title. It's an arcade fighter. I'm bringing in Mortal Kombat with the K on there, of course.
Of course.
So iconic. It's a franchise that has just taken the letter K and just used it and abused it in so many different ways. But at the end of the day, it still seems right. Street Fighter is another one that I was like kind of thinking of, but I kind of wanted to just, I don't know, stick to one of the arcade fighters, and I just feel like Mortal Kombat is just so much more iconic.
I had a couple other fighting games, but they're not in my top echelon, so I'll save them and see if we get to that point. At least shout them out the honorable mentions, but I like, Mortal Kombat is a freaking classic. That's a good one. This is a personal pick for me, but I've always loved this name, Spelunky. I'm actually wearing the shirt right now. I got the poster on the wall behind me. Of course, I'm a huge Spelunky fan, but I've always loved the word Spelunky. It kind of tells you a bit about what the game is, right? You're spelunking through caves, but then because it changes spelunking to just the Y, it makes it sound kind of cute, and like the game is very cute. It has very cute graphics. And it just rolls off the tongue, Spelunky. It just sounds good to say. I just feel great whenever that word comes through my head, and obviously it's because I love the game too. But Spelunky, easy pick for me.
I feel like it's one of those titles that if it was just spelunking, like any game title that's just a word, I feel like that's kind of lame.
That is a game too, and that's not making it on my list. That's a little more lame,
But yeah, they switched up a little bit, so I appreciate that a lot. Okay, what about Resident Evil?
Okay, I had that as an honorable mention.
Okay.
And I had specifically picked Village because I like Village, but I also like that Village is like VII or VILL, which is like 8. Like it spells out the number too in the title, which I always thought was cool.
That, yeah.
But yeah, do you want to just put Resident Evil like just Just that.
I just
without a
thought
number on here?
I just thought the original. You know, it's
Yeah.
just a great title for a horror game. And the series being like one of the most iconic horror video game titles of all time. And I think like the gameplay is something, but also just the title Resident Evil, like just hearing that, I feel like that speaks to so many different audiences, not even gamers. Obviously, there's movies about it now, but like that title just has a lot of weight to it. So yeah, I want to throw that out there.
I also like Resident Evil Code Veronica is always one I like the name of
Nice.
as one of the subtitles there for one of the earlier games. I like it. I'm through my like S tier, my guaranteed picks. Now I'm kind of just going through here. And how many are we at right now? Do you have numbers? Do you know how many you've said?
I don't have numbers because I assume that we're going to be interweaving, like you said. So I think I just have a solid amount, and I'm just kind of chipping away at them.
18 right now, so we'll keep throwing a bunch out here. I'm going to go with this one next, Nier Automata. I've always liked the sound of this one, and I like it. It's a weird one where I feel like generally I'm going to pick names that aren't confusing. Some games do have confusing or like you don't know how to pronounce it. This is actually that case where I say Nier Automata, some people say Nier Automata, and I think either one of those sound cool, and I think that's where it gets a bit of a bonus point is you can say it incorrectly or correctly. I don't even know what's correct, and I think it sounds good either way. So that one, tells you a little bit what the game is going to be. There's like a lot of machines and that's
they're going to be near.
So, yeah, there's robots, and automatic, whatnot. So yeah.
Have you played Nier Automata?
Yes, I played that. Was it last year? I think it was the start of last year. I played through that finally.
Yeah,
and loved it. I thought it was really good.
I saw they added Nier Replicant to the PlayStation catalog, so I definitely want to boot that one up. I only played a little bit of Nier Automata, borrowed it from a buddy, and of course they wanted it back, so I never got to get all the way through it. But yeah, that title blew me away. Yeah, it blew me away. It's not even so much like it was amazing, which it was, but it was also just like I did not know what I was getting into, and it really blew me away because of that. But okay, getting back to the list, I'm gonna throw out Splinter Cell. Just a really badass title. I like when I hear that too. Of course, now my mind just goes like stealth games, but I feel like that could just be like Splinter Cell. Like I don't know, the cell is splintering.
yeah.
Like I don't know what that could mean, but I love that title so much.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. I'm gonna go with this one. I don't know if I want to pick the original or the sequel. You can help me out with this. Perfect Dark. I've always thought is a really cool name. It's maybe a bit on the generic side and maybe doesn't tell you too much about what it is, but then also the sequel, Perfect Dark Zero, I think also sounds quite nice. What do you prefer between those two?
I think I like Perfect Dark Zero.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's calling to me.
Yeah, well, it's got that same thing. It's got the 2 syllables, 1 syllable, 2 syllables. Like I think that's a nice, it just rolls off the tongue nicely. There you go.
Okay, my next one is very near and dear to my heart. I feel like it has a variant to it though, so that like you could swap them out. I'm going with Warcraft. One of my not World of Warcraft, like specifically just Warcraft. I feel like it's just nice and simple. The other variant could have been StarCraft because it's like the exact same thing, but I just like Warcraft more. It was
StarCraft
also the title.
64 was a game that existed.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I like it is the title that I played first, so I definitely think of Warcraft over StarCraft. But just pairing war and craft just really I feel like embodies that RTS genre because you're crafting your base, but you're also going to war. So I don't know. It's simple and elegant, all in the same vein. So yeah, Warcraft.
I was gonna not to throw one of your games under the bus, but I feel like Total War Warhammer is like that has never rolled off the tongue, and I hate
it.
The word
I hate it as well.
Back to back. So
that is
when you said war for a second, that's like immediately when I hear you say war, I'm thinking you're gonna talk about Total
I am
War,
not a fan. That's why every time I talk about that game, I just say Warhammer.
yeah.
Even Total War, like I don't know, like maybe just if they had one game called Total War, but like calling an entire series that, like you have to say Total War Attila, Total War Rome, Total War Warhammer, like it's just it's way too much.
Let's go with another indie game here that I think has a good one, and I like Arx Vitalis, so I like that IS ending. I'm gonna go with Signalis. This was a game from last year,
nice.
and this is a very cool, like kind of Resident Evil inspired horror game. So it kind of has that vibe to it. I feel like it's a bit mysterious, and that it's like, it's a word you're familiar with, but it sounds a bit different and all that. So yeah, Signalis I think is a great name.
Absolutely. It's funny because I have like so many on here that are so similar to other titles, and I didn't really think about that until we started laying them out there. It's like I don't even want to throw that out here again.
Patterns,
but
right?
yeah, exactly. Subconsciously. So avoiding those ones. This one might be a little bit basic, but maybe that's what makes it so special in my eyes. I'm gonna list Left 4 Dead. Just not Left 4 Dead 2 or anything like that. I just love. I've always loved the look of like the cover for that game too. Just like the hand with the 4. Just again very simple. I feel like it tells you exactly what you're going to be getting into.
True.
Especially when you pair it with the zombie hand on there. I just feel like it's a short, simple title that tells a lot. And great title as well.
That number is meaningful too, right? Because you have 4 survivors, you have 4 zombies, like more than 4 zombies, but like on a team. So it tells you a lot of information about the game. Very good. I like that pick a lot. That was our 24th, so we're getting down to it just in terms of how many slots we have left here.
Okay.
Okay, another simple one for me, simple but effective. Limbo. Limbo has always been a cool word, like an Inception when they're going to limbo. Like it's just you feel like something cool is about to go down, and obviously Limbo as a game is a very cool aesthetic and all that, but it's just simple and effective, and I think it works quite well for what the kind of themes of that game is too.
Yeah, no, I love it. It pops.
It pops.
Okay. I'm gonna throw out another heart pick here.
Okay.
Brought it up already today on cast. I'm gonna say Fable: The Lost Chapters. I just think the pairing too of that subtitle goes so well with Fable because you could be telling a fable and it's like this is the ancient fable, but here's the lost chapters for that fable. And again, like of course I'm biased because I just love that game so much, but it's also just such a great title for a game. Even if you drop the subtitle, it's Fable, especially comparing it or attaching it to what the genre of game it is. It's like that fantasy setting. So yeah, I like it. Short and sweet, but yeah,
definitely. Okay, let's see. How many more slots do I have? 25, 20, 24, 25, 26. So I think we each have 2 picks left, if I'm counting this correctly. And I have 3 in my next tier, so I have to really decide which ones I want. I'm going to go with a favorite between the 2 of us here. Papers, Please.
Oh,
nice. I love the name Papers, Please. It's it's got the alliteration in there.
Yep.
It sounds nice, but then it's also like that is said all the time in the game as you're running this border check and you're at Papers, Please. So it's very fitting. And once again the font for that too. Like I can just picture that.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know if it ever got a physical version, so I don't know if it has box art, but just like that image that they have for it, so iconic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. I can hear the music when you just said the title of that.
Yeah. Anytime I think about that game, I just want to go play it. It's one of those.
It's an easy one to just pick up, honestly.
It is, yeah.
So, okay, I'm gonna go. It's too similar. It's too similar to the other one. Oh my god, there's gonna be so many honorable mentions on my list.
Yeah,
I can already tell.
I have quite a few.
Okay, I'll just throw it out there. Age of Empires, another RTS title, but I feel like it's one of the better RTS titles. There's so many different RTS games out there that have so many different, obviously titles. Company of Heroes, like just something. I don't know. It's like talking about a specific faction maybe that you're going to be fighting for, but I feel like Age of Empires, it's so simple. It's just the age of empires you're going to be conquering, you're going to be battling, possibly through different ages. So, yeah.
Definitely. Man, for my last pick, I'm really on the edge here of what I want to do. I'm just gonna go. It's another favorite of mine, and we mentioned this earlier today. But Chrono Trigger. I think Chrono Trigger is a classic. Even though I've played that game, I couldn't tell you exactly what that is again. I forget exactly what it means. I think it's related to like the time stuff in the game, but I think it's just 2 good words next to each other. Obviously, main character's name is Chrono. It's spelled differently, which is kind of weird, but it kind of tells you in that way. But I've always just thought that that's a really cool title, and that's probably one other reason why I've always wanted to play that game until I finally did. It was like, oh, that game just sounds so cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I know. There's 2 that I'm like sad that I couldn't get on this list, but
I think I'm just gonna have to go for the real easy big one. One of the most iconic video games of all time, Pac-Man. I
did not expect you to say that. Okay.
I was thinking of cutting it really early on, but I just feel like it's too simple of a title, but like in a good way to just leave out. I like it says so much. Obviously, everybody knows what the game of Pac-Man is, so it's not like it tells you what you're going to be doing in it. But it's just Pac-Man. Like that's all it is. There's no other Pac-Man out there. I guess there's Mrs. Pac-Man, but just the OG Pac-Man.
Pac-Man 99.
Just 6 letters, with a dash in there. That's all you need.
Yeah, interesting. I did not think that would be our 30th pick. Let's quickly rifle off our honorable mentions here. The two that were really on the edge for me, Mirror's Edge. I was almost going to make that point. Like, it's on the edge. Like, should I go for Mirror's Edge? I think it sounds really cool, but I could only pick 15 games, and I couldn't quite get it. And then I think Portal, another simple one. The game's all about shooting portals around, but it's just a cool sounding word. So those are the two I hate that I had to miss. You had System Shock, so I was happy not to have, or I was fine not to have BioShock, but I think that's another really
that was another honorable
good
mention.
name. Earthbound, I think, is cool. The two fighting games I was thinking about were Tekken and Soul Calibur. Like, even like Tekken in particular, like, just sounds. I wish I cared more about those games or wanted to check them out, because I think they seem a bit generic to me. But like the title is really cool. And then I think maybe my last shout out, or actually a couple more shouts. Death Stranding, I think, is cool. I shit on Super Smash Bros. As being kind of stupid, but I wanted to show out that I think that they obviously had Melee, Brawl, and Ultimate, but then the fourth game was just called 4. But I've always loved that it's like Super Smash Bros. 4 Wii U, Super Smash Bros. 4 3DS, so it tells you like which version it is for. I think that's like a fun pun. Like, 'cause so many games have puns on them, and I think I often don't like it too much. Like, I like when it tells you something about the game, but I don't need a pun. But I think that one actually works for me. And then I mentioned both WarioWare Twisted and Metal Gear Solid. So Twisted Metal obviously has words that fit into both of those, but I was happy to kind of not have it on there. And then, of course, Atomic Heart. Great title. I don't know where they got it from, but it's a great combination of words. So any other honorable mentions from you?
I was gonna mention like Metroid Prime.
That's a good one,
really just like that title as well. Wolfenstein or Wolfenstein, however you say it. Just a funky word. BioShock we already mentioned. I threw Earthworm Jim on here just because I found out about this game today, and I just laughed so hard, especially when you look at like the box art for it. It just looks goofy.
It's on Nintendo Switch Online. You can go check out some Earthworm Jim if you want.
There you go. Minecraft. I just think it's, again, maybe it's just for how iconic that game's become. It boosts that title, but I still wanted to throw it on here. Space Invaders. I had Quake. That was like my Doom adjacent one.
Quake's a really good one.
So yeah, I was a little bit iffy. Once we got Doom on there, I was like, okay with dropping it. Legend of Zelda. It's such a powerful title, but like also it is just very basic because really
it's too wordy, too wordy for my liking.
Okay, I think it's
takes
just
too
like
long to say. I can tell you as someone who's made posted all sorts of episodes, and I'm trying to incorporate Zelda discussion in it, and I just can't fit it in ever. And then like you can't I don't really like the shortened versions either, like TLOZ. I don't like. I don't know. I think there's certain games, like I think Majora's Mask is like, that's cool, and like Ocarina of Time also cool. But like I've never liked the name Legend of Zelda. A bit too generic and a bit too wordy for my liking.
Good points. I feel like out of all the subtitles I could have gone with, I mean, the subtitles I feel like are the most powerful out of all of them.
Another
Wind Waker, exactly. Phantom Rails. So they definitely got some great
Phantom
subtitles.
Rails is the one of the games.
It is, yeah. Go check it out.
Phantom
Hourglass. There you go.
Phantom Rails.
I thought they had another one though. It was like all about trains.
There's two trains. There's Phantom Hourglass and there's Spirit Tracks. Spirit Tracks. What are you thinking of?
I was combining them. And then my last honorable mention. Where was it? Oh yeah, EverQuest.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like we went too well in my own eyes. I feel like I went too much into the like just adventuring or like Final Fantasy type like questing titles to throw that on my main list. But I've always just thought EverQuest is just such a great title for a fantasy game. But I also kind of wanted to not have my whole list just be fantasy titles. I guess there's just a lot of great fantasy titles out there.
It's true. Okay, we have our list of 30 games. We're going to narrow this down to a top 10. Let's quickly do a quick recap here. So here's the first 15. Pseudo Regalia, Parappa the Rappa, Tribal Trouble, Final Fantasy, Tetris, Castlevania, Arx Fatalis, System Shock, WarioWare Twisted, Little Big Planet, Donkey Kong 64, Galaga, Doom, Tomb Raider, Metal Gear Solid. You want to read that second half off?
Second half, we have Mortal Kombat, Spelunky, Resident Evil, Nier Automata, Splinter Cell, Perfect Dark Zero, Warcraft, Signalis. Is that how you say it? Signalis?
Yeah, Signalis.
Yeah, okay.
Signalis. Yeah.
Left 4 Dead, Limbo, Fable The Lost Chapters, Papers, Please, Age of Empires, Chrono Trigger, and Pac-Man.
Really, it felt good to say all those all those titles.
Sometimes when we're briefing off those lists, it can be a mouthful, listen to different actors or characters, whatever we're drafting, but that was a fun one.
That's a good one. We have to narrow this down to a top 10. So we can either cut things, we can either lock things. Well, maybe we should cut a few. I'll sacrifice up Donkey Kong 64.
Okay.
I don't think it needs to be top 10. Of course, I love all these, but
yeah,
I don't know. We've done this list before. We know how long it takes, so I'm trying to speed it along if I can.
Yeah.
Any other weak links for you? I'm gonna say, Kirklin, I think Pac-Man is kind of weak.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I don't like Pac-Man. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good.
No. Okay, you can take it. I feel like the main thing for what I'm going for there is just like. It's just Pac-Man. Like Pac-Man, you know what Pac-Man is, but that doesn't make it a great title, I guess. It's more of just, again, pulling in my own outside sources to boost that
I mean, there's so many
on the rating.
There's so many reasons why a name can be great, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, I let's get rid of that one. Feel free to poke any at mine, anything that looks weak to you. Let's see.
What about...
Is Parappa the Rappa a top 10 for you?
No. Yeah, you can take that down.
Let's see. What else?
Like, make cases for so many of these. How about Galaga? We can take Galaga off.
Okay.
It's just too weird. It doesn't tell me much.
Yeah, I do like it, but I don't love it. I'm trying to be fair, so I want to poke some of mine, but I also know that I've picked really good ones.
Poke of mine.
Honestly,
go on,
they're all good. They're all good. It's hard to go. Are you passionate about Final Fantasy?
I'm more passionate. I'm more passionate compared to other ones on my own list.
Okay,
so,
fair enough. I'm thinking maybe these bottom two, Age of Empires, Chrono Trigger, could go.
Yeah, Age of Empires is pretty generic. AoE.
Cut them both.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we're doing
I'll
good.
allow that. Is Fable the Lost Chapters too mouthy?
It's a bit wordy. I think it might be.
It's great though.
I think it might just be lower than these, but it's still good. It's still good. Should we move it though, just to?
Yeah.
Just because we gotta.
We gotta.
This isn't definitive. We can always bring it back up if we want.
Right.
Let's see. I could see Perfect Dark Zero dropping.
PDZ.
Yeah, that
I feel like it
sound
adds
good.
so
when
much.
You say it that way, it actually is worse. PDZ. I like that.
What about? See, like I was looking at Tetris, but like also.
Hard
it is hard, but like, is it the same thing? Kind of what I was mentioning with like the Pac-Man thing, where Tetris is just such a great title because of what Tetris actually is.
I think it is a good title outside of that.
Yeah.
And I do think about Tetris Effect, Tetris 99. Like I think it just it works well with other things.
Okay.
Because that core word is so strong.
Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh. That feels like a top echelon one for me, actually.
Yeah. MGS.
I couldn't tell you exactly why. I just love the sound of it.
I'm fine with leaving it on there.
Okay.
This is the hard decision stage that we're at, though, that we have to look at.
It's really hard. I'm okay to drop. I do love Tribal. How do you feel about Pseudo Regalia? Because I know I love it. Am I alone on that, or do you think it's good too?
I really, really like it.
Okay.
Like especially comparing it to a lot of these other ones.
You did sound a bit not maybe did I explain myself on WarioWare, or do you think it's not as good as I think it is?
WarioWare Twisted. I feel like WarioWare is such a great title. WarioWare Twisted. It's a little bit of a tweak. Not in like a bad way though. It's just I don't know. I don't know how to explain.
Do you love it, or do you think it's just
I don't
okay?
love it. I don't love it. Yeah. I was trying to soften the
I'll
blow.
sacrifice it. I think I could see a Tomb Raider drop in. I could see a
Tomb Raider possibly dropping as well.
If you could see it, then I think we just have to.
Yeah, she's tumbling.
She's tumbling. We still have a lot to go here. We could start locking some if we feel. We love Papers, Please. Is that a top 10er though?
I don't think so.
Okay. Let's get rid of it. Whoa.
Is Limbo too simple?
It could be.
But is that also what makes it great?
Let's get rid of it. I'm just cutting things. I'm just cutting them.
I like
easily.
it. I like it.
I think that Left 4 Dead or I think Left 4 Dead. Maybe.
I think Left 4 Dead. Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
I didn't even tell you where I'm coming from.
You can read your mind.
Yeah, you can read it. Let's see. How 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We need to cut 7 more. We need to cut
Signalis. Is Signalis top 10 for you?
Oh, I really like Signalis, but I think I'm okay to drop it. I don't think it's quite as iconic as some of these other ones, and that's a factor.
I'm scared of what's above it.
6 more. Let's see. Ooh, boy. Do you want to lock any? Should we do maybe a couple locks? Or do you have any more cuts? You have any more on the cutting floor?
I'm kind of like in the middle right now, so I think we could switch gears to locking. Maybe that'll help get us out of this little rut.
It's definitely a personal one. Spelunky, I think, is one of the best game names ever made. What do you think? Is that a lock? I accept that. I don't think it's a first
lock. I don't. You do have a lot of bias.
I'm not saying it's number one.
But you're also
like it's easy 10. Easy.
You're also like not wrong though. Like it is just
wrong.
such a great title.
What is your?
I would be okay with locking.
Oh,
are we doing deals already?
Well, no. I mean, if you just, we didn't have to make a deal. You said you're okay with it, so we're doing it. It's in there. It's in the top 10. I want to say
like Mortal Kombat. I want to see Mortal Kombat being a top 10 title.
I quite agree with that. I'm looking at now. It's like the second letter an O, second to last letter A in both the words. Like that's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care that it's a K instead of a C. I don't know if that adds to it for me, but I also don't think it
doesn't take it away.
Yeah. It's pronounced all the same. So. I could see System Shock dropping down just now that we're at this top echelon.
Yeah. I think I could as well.
Okay, we'll do it. I really want to play that remake,
so
by the way,
great.
that came out this year.
Yeah,
I really want to
me
get
too.
Okay, so we have 2 locks.
What about... So how do you feel on Final Fantasy? Because you were asking me to cut it earlier. You don't think it's top 10?
I just think I do think it's a bit generic, which I think is once again, which I think is what the series needs, because it's not a continual series of the same thing. It's like each time its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it fits, and it has become iconic for sure. And I like FF. I like the shorthand, but I think Final Fantasy itself is a touch generic for my liking.
Yeah.
In terms of the all times,
So then I'll ask you. Maybe I'll ask you how you feel on Warcraft. It's very simple. Yeah. I really, really like it, but again, I have a lot of biases for it. It's one of my favorite RTS games of all time. I feel like it just... When I hear Warcraft, like I think of the Horde, I think of the Alliance, like I think of like the lore and the mythos as well that's kind of encompassed on it.
It's an interesting case where I feel like the words, if we break it up into its root words, like war is used all over the place. Like I was also considering Geometry Wars. We talked about Total War, Advanced Wars was another one I think of. Like that's absolutely like Call of Duty World at War. That's a very common word, and I think craft is as well. Minecraft. I'm sure there's 100 other ones that I can't think of it immediately right now. But I feel like it's maybe two words that like, I don't know, are the words diluted because they're used so often?
Right.
Or are they there because they're just such strong core words and they tell you so much about what the game's going to be, as well as just a nice sounding word? You know, that's where I'm kind of stuck in between. Like, I don't know which way on that scale I'm tilting.
I felt very, very strongly about it, but honestly, just us talking about it like just now, I feel like I just seeing it as Warcraft as well kind of brings it down for me. But I also I don't think I would have pitched like any other options. Like for me, like Warcraft 3, that's specifically the one that I played the most, which is Warcraft 3.
World of Warcraft. Do you like that edition?
See, I don't even love that title. Like it sounds really good, and like you got WoW,
sounds maybe a bit
of
more
course.
Generic somehow.
But yeah, exactly. I think it kind of comes down for me. So like. Okay. I think the top tier echelon, which isn't on here, is Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos, because that's what it's called. Or Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne. That was the DLC version of it.
I like Frozen Throne quite a bit, yeah.
It sounds really nice, but that's also not what we pitched here. So I feel like if I'm already putting that above just Warcraft, we can
Let's drop it. And let's see where we're at. So we have 2 locks. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we still need to get rid of 4 of them.
Okay.
So, sorry, you were saying Final Fantasy, and then you moved to Warcraft. Was there a connection in those thoughts, or did you just want to move to Warcraft?
I was just trying to see how strongly we were on other... Because if you're low on Final Fantasy, I was kind of... I don't know. I wanted to get a feeler for Warcraft there.
Okay. I'll throw up another one of mine is... You mentioned earlier, now that we're getting down to it, like Tetris, I actually do think Tetris Effect, like I think that's actually a better name, Tetris Effect. It sounds cool. I like it. It rolls off the tongue. And we have Tetris here. And I love it, of course. It's top 15 is where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay to drop it just to make this list happen if you're still on that wavelength.
Yeah, I would be down. Not creative enough.
Not creative enough.
Shitting all over Tetris.
Yeah, give me a subtitle, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What about Castlevania? We haven't really talked about that one on here.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, this tight, like obviously Castlevania has been turned into Metroidvania, and that's just like a genre now, so you just see it all the time, but you only see like half the word. It's weird because I think in the back of my head of all the great subtitles that the series has that do get wordy for sure, a lot of syllables going on, but I think it is really good. Yeah, it is really good. I don't know if it's gonna drop for me.
I love the Vania like tie with castle as well. Again, like you got vampires in here. I think of Transylvania, so it just it
words that end in A, kind of 4 syllables. Like it's hitting all of my barometer. It's hitting all the things I want to see in a name.
Like I for me, I think that might be a top 10er, honestly, Castlevania.
Yeah, I could get there.
You could get there, not there yet though.
I don't know if I don't know if I can lock it quite yet. How do you feel about Little Big Planet now that we're here?
See, that's the thing is I love the title, I love the game, but now that we're here, how do I feel about it?
Is it like top 15? That's commendable. Is like, are we happy just saying it got top 15 and we move on?
Little Big Planet.
There you go.
Yeah.
I want a new Little Big Planet. I would be excited to pick anyone up. Yeah.
They're overdue, especially with the new console. I feel like they gotta strike while the iron's hot.
Very curious what Media Molecule does next. That's if we're talking best studio names. I think Media Molecule is an all.
That's the next list.
I'd be down.
There's some great studio names.
I love my
there.
Stupid lists, so I'd be keep going with that. Okay. Wow, we're really getting down to it here. I don't even know what the weak link is here. Like these are all super strong. Strong.
Splinter Cell is very high for me right now, but again, I don't know. I can't tell if that's just like biases for like that game being so iconic in the stealth genre.
What are some sequel names or subtitles? Is there any that you can think of?
Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Splinter Cell
Chaos Theory is fucking sweet.
So
love
good.
That name.
Eh? Yeah, the very first Splinter Cell game was Splinter Cell Stealth Action Redefined.
That was the name of the game?
Well, let me double check that. It might have just been like the little tag.
Did we overlook something? That the game is technically called Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell? Did we overlook
you're right.
that technically the name has that extra stupid name in there?
No, you're 100% right. It is called Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Does that kill it?
It does kill it. It can't have Tom Clancy's. Can have a dude's name in the top 10 list.
Yeah.
Get it out of here.
Definitely an honorable mention, and like, oh, it was so close to glory, but Tom Clancy, like, come on, man, why'd you have to do that to us? I mean, he's technically making it easier for us in terms of making this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We only need to make one more cut. We are right there, Kirkland.
Holy moly.
We are right there.
Pseudo Regalia, Tribal Trouble.
I'll do a quick recap for the audio listeners. Pseudo Regalia, Tribal Trouble, which made Kirkland laugh just now. Final Fantasy, Castlevania, Arx Fatalis, Doom, Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, Nier Automata. What was the laughter? Was it just because this is the most random ass game?
Yeah, 100%. It's like I love this list because we're not
rating
video
the
games
game anymore. It might just be impossible to play in 2020.
But like it's completely fine that it's on there because we're not like rating games. This isn't the top 10 best games of all time. This is the best video.
I've always loved the word tribal. Like in Survivor, they go to Tribal Council, which sounds cool. Like tribal is it's just a good word.
I like it.
Oh man, I think maybe my bottom echelon here would be Nier Automata still Final Fantasy for me. I think those might be my bottom two if I had to pick one.
I think my bottom two.
Or I'd say I love Nier Automata. I don't know if I love Final Fantasy, but I think you've made some good cases for it. And I the more I think about it, the more I do think it is quite good. So it is really hard for me to make this cut. But I think is there any other ones that you want to put in that bottom tier, or do you think it would come down to those two?
I think my bottom two right now. I think I still have Metal Gear Solid down there, but then also Nier Automata. So if we're both having that on the bottom,
I think Nier should get the boot then. Sorry, 2B, you're out of here. Yeah. I think that's 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We did it. We have the top 10. Are we going to try and order this, or are we happy with what we did here? What do you think? Might be really hard to order.
I don't feel comfortable, ordering these.
It might be really hard to order them, and I don't know if we need to for what this list is.
I don't think we need to.
I think that might be good.
Yeah.
That seems anticlimactic. What can we do? What can we do to
what could we do?
Should we try? Should we see what we can come
I
up
guess
with?
so. I mean, it is called ranking the best video game titles of all time. It's not the top 10 list.
That might be a bit of a cop-out if we don't actually put numbers on them.
Oh, it's going to be hard.
Can we do Final Fantasy at 10? Are you okay with that? It made it to the top 10, but it's number 10.
Can we do Metal Gear Solid 9?
Sure.
Okay. Good deal.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I was happy with that. Let's see. There's a few we didn't even talk about Arcs or Doom or Resident. Like these ones just breezed right in because they're so strong.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to think of like what is the number one. Like that's hard.
I know. I don't even want to look at that right
now.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think we might actually be looking decent. Like I think Doom, Resident Evil could be in that 7 to 8 slot, and maybe Castlevania moves down in that tier. Do you think?
I would.
Let's make little tiers right now.
I personally want Tribal Trouble to be below Castlevania.
You want it lower? Okay.
It's a great title, but Castlevania is so high to me.
Let's just call that. If I'm making a tier, does that seem decent? Like the next tier being Doom, Castlevania, Resident Evil. We can reorder these, but that's like being the tier.
Yeah.
Okay. How should we? I think I'm okay with this order. If you want to move Castlevania back up by one, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, let's do that.
Above Doom?
Yeah.
Okay. Resident Evil, Tribal Trouble. I love that Tribal Trouble's on this list. That's so funny to me. No one listening is going to be like, know what that game is. There's going to be one person who played that game as a kid and is like, holy shit, I totally forgot about it. They haven't thought about the game in 15 years until this moment here. So that would leave our top tier. Our top 4 is Spelunky, Mortal Kombat, Pseudo Regalia, and Arx Fatalis. I love that 3 of the 4 of these are just like, I mean, I guess Spelunky's not that obscure, but 2 of these are very obscure games.
Yeah. But they're great titles.
They're great titles. We're up here now. I like this order. Am I crazy?
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Am I too biased?
I'm very happy that Mortal Kombat's top 2. So I'm happy.
Should we lock it? Lock and load it?
Let's lock it. Let's call it a day.
Kirkland, why don't you read off that list from 10 up to 1? Read it off.
Okay, starting at number 10, the 10th best title for a video game. Final Fantasy. Number 9, we got Metal Gear Solid. Number 8, Tribal Trouble. Number 7, Resident Evil. Number 6, we got Doom. Number 5, Castlevania. Number 4, Arx Fatalis. Number 3, Pseudo Regalia. Regalia. I always say Regalia.
Either way, it sounds good. Either way, the tongue is happy to say that.
Number 2, we got Mortal Kombat, and number 1 being the the greatest video game title of all time, Spelunky. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm happy with this list. I'm actually happy with this list. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was, which it was hard, but I thought it was going to be that much harder.
It's inherently kind of a silly, goofy list, so I think it makes it a bit easier to rank things because it doesn't feel as like, I don't know, like sometimes for the arcane rankings we were doing, it was like, this is very important, you know? Whereas this feels less important, but still very fun. It's a fun exercise to do. Kirkland, thank you so much for joining me and doing this this silly exercise with me. This was so much fun.
This was fun.
It was good to talk about the games we've been playing and all of that. So yeah, once again, next week, I'm pretty sure is going to be the Starfield spoiler discussion. Look forward to that. Once again, might be a day or two late, just depending on how things go. But thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any other suggestions, games we missed, or just any ordering that you think we messed up, let us know in the comments. Let us know by dropping a review or join the Discord and chat to us about it there. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you again next time. See ya.
Bye.